maybe an extra class on Saturday, so as to, we're just 45 1 hour behind in a way, meaning we should have reached till Government of India Act 1935 yesterday only, but that didn't happen. So that I'm working out something. So Saturday morning, if possible, we'll do that. Good morning, SME. You are replying something to the student Anjali. Check your reply. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. So I think it should not be a problem for anybody, as it is the sessions are recorded. So therefore, Saturday maybe 2 hours. So we'll start post independence on Friday. That way, Friday, Saturday, Monday, we'll do it like that. So that I have to work out. By tomorrow, I'll tell you what is the exact scene, because I don't want to rush. Generally, I don't want to, as it is, go on very quickly in this section. I want to go at a pace which makes sense. Yes, Meghna. Yes, Lakshmi. That is I need less than that only. Good morning. Okay. So today's agenda is Government of India Act 1935. The first thing we do is this only, Government of India Act 1935. And thereafter, once we're done with the Government of India Act 1935, we will go into what is called the 1936-37 elections. Very significant for communalism in India. This elections, we will follow it up with then the most important discussion we have, which is Bose and Gandhi, which is how did Bose leave the INC, what are the tensions between Gandhi and Bose, and thereafter we'll go into what is called the war response from the INC, and the target is to at least reach August offer individual satyagrah, and thereafter last topic should be satyagraha, and last topic should be Cripps mission. We need to reach till 1942. We'll see according to the pace we need or the pace we have. But the most important discussion is this and this. Out of this, a lot of questions can come. August offer and Cripps mission equally important that way. So you can see now we are entering the 40s by today. For sure, we will reach 40. And we have to now just traverse between 35 to 40 in that sense. So before I do that, yesterday, what did we do? We tried to understand one of the most important movements which happened just before Government of India 1935, which is the CDM. The CDM, wherein the civil disobedience movement was, how was it visualized? We started with the concept of Irwin Declaration, then the Deepavali Declaration or Irwin Declaration, then we moved to Delhi Manifesto, then to Pune Swaraj Resolution, 11-point ultimatum, Dandi March, then the whole CDM, first, second, third, and roundtable conferences, along with the Pune Pact. Yesterday, we technically discussed Gandhi and Dr. Ambedkar, how both had to negotiate a historical deal, which is called the Pune Pact generally, and separate electorates. This is what we've done yesterday. Before I talk about Government of India Act 1935, we all are comfortable till what we've done yesterday and everything we've covered generally till this point, because now we are going into that critical zone of last 10 years. Very, very important, and generally is based on, again, multiple events. Understand, now there will be multiple events, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, and you just have to keep a basic train of thought. That is it. You can use, you might want to use subheadings, but don't overdo it. That's the basic point. So can I start the discussion for today? Because Government of India 1935 ends our constitutional history. We started with the Regulating Act, and now we're reaching Government of India 1935. So can we start our discussion for today? Everybody's comfortable, everybody's ready. Yes? Okay, perfect. So if you remember, we started in 1773, then we went to 1784, then we did 1793, 1813, 1833, 1853, 1858, 1861, 1892, thereafter 1909, 1919, and now the mother of all the constitutional development, which is 1935. 1935. Now, 1935 Act is called the mini constitution. If you've done polity, you would know that a lot of our sections are based on the 1935 Government of India Act itself. This is the base on which the Indian Constitution was made. And today, what I'm going to do is once I will be done with the Government of India Act 1935, I will give you one major master summary from 1773 to 1935, so that we can close constitutional history in as a topic today, and you don't have to thereafter pick it up anywhere else. So with Government of India 1935, our constitutional history, all the acts are done from Morlemento to Montague to Government of India Act 1935, and all the acts which are related to the company. So I'll try to give you a master timeline with basic summaries in that, so that you can just revise by looking at that basic timeline. So first and foremost thing is, do you need to remember these dates? Yes, these are extremely important, because these dates are bare minimum you have to remember. So from 1773 to 84, 13, 33, 53, 58, 61, 92, 1909, then it's very easy. 1909, 1990, 1935. So the first point is, we end constitutional history in that sense. Very, very major changes will come in India. And thereafter, we'll now pivot towards the politics of how we got independence. So first and foremost point, do you need to remember the dates? Yes, you have to. Second point, we'll do a master timeline today so that everything gets consolidated. And last but not the least is, yesterday what we did, everybody is clear with that. Nobody has any issue. So I can now enter this section, which is related to 1935 Government of India Act. Now, let's try to understand the context. Let's try to understand the context of the Government of India Act 1935. Yes, in a way, Kiru, yes. When we talk about the context of 1935, context of the 1935, context of the 1935 Government of India Act, we already know that the Simon Commission report was the base on which this is going to be based. Further, the Simon Commission report, you add to it the round table conferences report, which is called the white papers, and the general Government of India Act 1919 working. When you add all of these, you get the Government of India Act 1935. And it is one of the most debated acts, because there were close to 2000 debates which happened in the British Parliament over its sections. More than that, it is called a mini constitution because it was a very bulky document, very, very bulky document. And the way we divide basically the parts schedules, the same way exact structure was given. So the way our constitution is divided into parts and schedules, the same way Government of India Act 1935 is considered the base on which that our Indian constitution is made. White papers is the name of the report which comes out of the round table conferences. So it's called white. They could have called it anything. It's called white paper. There is no specific reason for it. The simple point is all of this brought together, you get Government of India Act 1935. Now, in order to go and discuss 1935, I hope context is clear. Yes, everybody, context is clear. because this is what we did yesterday. Or yesterday was about creating the context of the Government of India in 1935. So everybody should now pay attention, because now I'm going to these sections. First, we need to understand what was the structure on the eve of the on as on 1934. What is the structure? Basically, what the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms created. So the structure was very simple. You have the Council of India, or let's call it what it is called. Let's first call it India House, and you have the Secretary of State plus 15 members. Thereafter, you have one more, which is called the Council of India or High Commission of India, headed by the Indian High Commissioner. Thereafter, they both operate via the Governor General and Viceroy, Governor General and Viceroy, and he has his three bodies together: Legislative Council, Imperial Legislative Council, Legislative. Thereafter, you have the Council of States, the Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha, the Executive Council, No, not everything is from Government of India 1935. We obviously add a lot of things. We have a borrowed constitution that way. A lot of features are added also from different other constitutions. You have the Executive Council. And thereafter, yes, this is based on the Government of India Act 1990. And thereafter, you have the governors. Governors, you have their own Legislative Council, and they have their own Executive Council. And you had Madras, Bombay, Bengal, Punjab, Northwestern Province, Awadh. And generally, this set was changing. This set had already changed. From 6, it had already become 9, already become in a way 8, because United Provinces and Central Provinces were added to the list, and there was a lot of change in that regard, which I'm not going to add here. I'm going to discuss the structure which I last taught you. I'll tell you how it changes. Thereafter, we have the concept of diarchy here. We have the concept of diarchy here. But an important concept was that the Executive Council of the Viceroy in a way had control over the governors. So the Executive Council had control over governors, and therefore they're not fully autonomous. If you remember the Government of India Act 1919, this is the basic structure I've given you. There are other nitty-gritties which is there, separate electorates for this and that. This is the structure of Government of India, wherein you have Governor, Viceroy, and both. He has 3 houses under him: Imperial Legislative Council, Council of State, Executive Council, and the Council of Legislative Council and Executive Council at the provincial level also. So this is a very important concept which already existed. So the structure is already very complex, So if you understand this, if you remember this, can I now talk about the Government of India Act 1935? Because very sweeping changes will come in the way you see the structure itself. Yes? Okay, perfect. So now the Government of India Act 1935 comes. Government of India Act 1935. Now in this, please now start to pay attention. Multiple structural changes we will see. First change is going to happen in India House, because in India House the Secretary of State was there and he had 15 members with him. But what this act is going to do is going to remove the 15 members. This is the first change which happens, which is that 15-member council is removed, and now he will not have this whole paraphernalia of 15 members. Rather, he will just generally operate with 2-3 advisors. So we'll have advisors, but not defined by the act itself. Thereafter, the High Commission of India, that is also abolished. That office was technically not needed. So the second change is that the High Commissioner is removed and office is dissolved. Now tell me one thing, would this be a good thing for the Secretary of State or a bad thing for the Secretary of State? All of this is strengthening the power of the Secretary of State or diminishing the power of the Secretary of State? It is strengthening. Yes, very good. Basically, all power is now getting pushed into the Secretary of State. He does not have to, he's not answerable to the 15 members. He has no High Commissioner now. He just is answerable to himself. Therefore, in London, major restructuring is happening. The sole power which now controls everything is the Secretary of State, and his India House is only him and his 2-3 advisors. So the first major change is going to happen in the Government of India Act through that in London itself. So in London, this is the first stage of changes, which is concentration of power in the Secretary of State. Now hereafter, there is going to be another set of changes, but now in India. You have the Governor General and Viceroy. The Governor General and Viceroy, he will have his 3 bodies: Executive Council and his Imperial Legislative Council, along with Council of States. This is the basic structure which is here. Now the Government of India Act proposes, but was never implemented, the Government of India Act proposed that hierarchy should be introduced at center. However, this was never implemented because hierarchy is a confusing system. So hierarchy will be proposed, but the Viceroy is never going to apply it to his councils. So hierarchy was actually removed from the provincial level and it was added to the central level, but it was never implemented. It was never implemented, which brings us to the fourth change, which is diarchy is abolished at the provincial level. Provincial level. And therefore, he still operates through the governors, and the governors still have their legislative councils and executive councils. But at this level, there will be major changes. There will be major changes because the control of the executive council over the governor will be removed, and this is called fifth, provincial autonomy, wherein now the governor is autonomous. The governor is autonomous. There is no control over the executive council, or has the executive council has no control over the governor. This is called provincial autonomy, that the provinces are autonomous. But the most sweeping changes are going to happen here, because there will be two changes in the different provinces. First, three new provinces. Now I'm going to do that on the next slides. And bicameralism will be introduced in provinces. What do I mean by bicameralism? What do I mean by bicameralism? Two houses. Very good. Now the structure at the provincial level changes quite a lot, and that I'm going to discuss with you in the next slide. I've put in the points in this slide itself, but I have to give you two slides, one a flowchart and the next a type of interactive flowchart through which you can understand everything. First, before I do that, I want to have the imperial level clear. So you have India House, Secretary of State, 15 members gone. High Commission of India is also gone. Thereafter, Governor General and Viceroy, he has his own three councils. Diarchy is proposed but never implemented. Then diarchy is abolished at the provincial level. At this level, diarchy is abolished. Thereafter, provincial autonomy is introduced, wherein previously the executive council had control over the governors. They could send messages to the governor, do this, do that. Thereafter, now that is not possible. The governor is autonomous. He does not have to worry about what the executive council is saying. Therefore, if you remember, in 1773, the process of legislative centralization started. And this is where the legislative decentralization is over, wherein governors become fully autonomous. They are provincially autonomous. That is why what is called provincial autonomy. And last but not the least is that there will be other sweeping changes, wherein the new provinces will be added and bicameralism will be introduced, which I am going to discuss on the next slide. But till the imperial level, are we all on the same page? I will give you everything in another slide together, but I'm trying to right now just give you the basic points. Diarchy was abolished at the provincial level, which, if you remember, was the concept of governor and legislative council and governor and executive council. It was applied here. Now it has been abolished. Which has been abolished at the provincial level, proposed at imperial level, never came through. Now let's try to now concentrate on the provincial aspect. Let's try to concentrate here. So you have Secretary of State. He operates via the Governor General and Viceroy, and he has his own councils: Imperial Legislative Council and Council of States. and he has his executive council. Now this level in itself becomes in a way becomes free or autonomous also, because now executive council has nothing to do with provinces. So the provinces in that regard are now free of executive control. In a way, yes, the governor becomes his own boss, if you want to call that. Now the major changes is going to happen when we look at the structure of the government of India, in the way we have divided our provinces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There were 8 provinces before Government of India Act 1935, and there will be 3 new additions. So the ones which are already there are Bengal, Bombay, Madras, Bihar, United Provinces, Assam, then you have Punjab, Central Provinces, and 3 new additions are there. You have Orissa, Sindh, and North Western Frontier Province, which is nothing but Afghanistan province. Now, you would say, sir, why have you played with the colors like this? Which is that Bombay, Bengal, Bombay, Madras, Bihar, UP, Assam, Punjab, Central Provinces. These 3 are the new additions. 1, 2, 3 new provinces. So what I will do is that for the purpose of no confusion, I am going to update this list so that you don't think that why are there 6 here and I've written 8 there. So in the background, there have been certain changes in the Government of India, and that were not through acts but just basic reorganization. You have Bombay, Madras, Bengal, that never changes. Then you have Bihar, United Provinces, Assam, Central Provinces, and Punjab. So basically, there were 8 here. So I'm just updating the list here so that there is consistency. We already know how Bihar came out, because Bihar came out of Bengal when the annulment of the partition of Bengal was done, which is that in 1911, when Delhi was made the capital, partition of Bengal was stopped, but Assam was created as a separate province itself, and Bihar was also created as a separate province. United Province is nothing but the reorganization of Awadh, and Central Provinces is nothing but the addition of whatever was there in the parts of Awadh which was in the central area. And Punjab remains the major big area in that regard, which is again renaming of the northwestern province. The northwestern province actually was renamed as Punjab. So it's not ceases to exist, it's just renaming. So you don't have to go into that much nitty-gritty. But as of right now, you have to understand 8 already there. Between 1919 to 35, 2 more were added, which is basically central Punjab and central provinces with the reorganization of Bengal. But we don't have to get caught up there. Now you would have seen that I have written them in different colors, and the color difference is because out of these 11 total, there were 6 which were bicameral, and there were other 5 which were unicameral. Central provinces would be technically MP. Now, this is the major concept which has emerged in India, that you have certain provinces where you have the governor, and he also, like the viceroy, has legislative assembly and legislative council. What is legislative council called in today? We have Vidhan Sabha, and the other one is called what? The Vidhan Sabha, and the other next, yes, Vidhan Parishad. Very good. So this is where the concept of Vidhan Parishad emerges, which is the legislative council at the level of the governor. And thereafter, he has his executive council. But that is not true for this. In here, you only have governor and his legislative council. I told you it is a little bit bulky, this document. That is why multiple changes. Executive council. Is this making sense? So yes, that is the point. Very good, Chaitanya. The fact of the matter is, the 6 which are mentioned here till today have what we call as Vidhan Parishads. The precursor for that is here only. But very simply, if I add these 2 slides to one slide, and then I have to do another type of interactive flowchart with you, are we getting the basic changes which are happening? Wherein 15 members gone, High Commission gone, diarchy introduced, not applied, diarchy removed from the concept of provinces, executive council control over the governors is gone. Further, 3 new provinces are added, and total becomes 11. Plus that, there will be certain 6 of them will be made bicameral, and 5 will remain unicameral. Can you make sense of this basic concept? Yes? Okay. Now, what I want to do is, I want to consolidate. Because one more thing is going to happen, which is that Burma will be removed from India, from British India. And now Burma will have its own administration, and it will be called the Imperial Burma Administration. And now Burma will not be considered, which is technically Myanmar, will not be considered a part of India. So now let me consolidate in a different way, and I think it will make sense. Okay. Now let's think of it like this. Okay, this is for you. British India. Burma is removed. Thereafter, you only have in London the Secretary of State. In India, you have your core. Rather, let's make it where it is. You have your core. This is the. Why have I marked it in that place? What am I trying to represent by marking it there? Very good. Delhi. Great. Perfect. And he has his own structures. Now, in a way, the next major change is in this sense. Okay. Now the color scheme matters, right? So I am going to mark in blue the ones which were already there, but I'll change the scheme also. So you have Bengal, Bombay, Madras, Bengal, Bombay, Madras. Thereafter, Bihar, Assam. Then you further have Punjab and Central Province. And the new additions are going to be Orissa, Sindh, and Northwestern Frontier Province. And I think if you imagine it correctly, you can see the map of India in a way. Madras is a little bit outwards, but if you look at it, you can actually see the map of India. I'll try to make it in a much more representative way. And there's a reason why I'm not giving you the map, because if I give you the map, you will see the princely states. Now it will become more representative. And we have to add one more, which is the United Provinces. You have to add the United Provinces. So if you look at it, it is like the outline of India, and you can make out why I given this color. This color means that it is bicameral. This is bicameral, and the others you have this shade means unicameral. So you have Bombay, Orissa, Madras, Bengal, Assam, Bihar, United Provinces, Punjab, Sindh, and Northwestern Frontier Province. And what we mean by this is that for example, in Bombay, in a bicameral legislature, we will have the governor, and the governor will operate. I don't want to enter that. The governor then operates via executive council, and he has two houses under him, which is the legislative council and the legislative assembly. And in a state like Orissa, which is unicameral, you just have governor and his two executive council and legislative council. So very simply, the three new additions, this color has been used for the new additions. Is this making sense? Is this making sense? Rather than making it in that way, that you have the provinces, and you have their own understanding. So whatever is in blue is bicameral, whatever is white marked is unicameral, and whatever is orange box is basically new additions. So if this makes sense. Awadh was renamed as United Provinces. Don't get attached to provinces. That was renamed as. Now, very simply, one print names which is missing: Assam, Bengal, Odisha. This, okay, central provinces. Now clear? I'll write it in white only. Then you will think what was the reason for that color was changed. Central provinces. Now clear? Now, if this makes sense, and this makes sense, I want to bring everything together into one slide, so that green color is that they are old states. You can do that. Green means that they are old but unicameral. If you want to and have a key for that also, I'll give you that also. This means already existed but unicameral. But I don't want you to complicate it this much. Right? So can I consolidate everything together into one structure? Come on. Till this point, we have hierarchy. I've given you an example. There is no hierarchy. Firstly, there's no hierarchy at provincial level. You mean bicameralism. Bicameralism, given you an example in the form of Bombay. No, it is true for everyone. Can I consolidate? Is this making sense? Come on, have to be more vocal. Still a lot of changes I've not told you. These are the structural changes. Yes? Okay. Now, we consolidate everything into one slide so that there is no confusion. Now, the structure which I am going to make is going to be the final structure, and then we'll add the other things. We'll sprinkle the other things. Now, let's try to understand it. So, the Government of India Act 1935 has the following structure. Herein, the Secretary of State operates via what is called the India House, but he is now the sole authority in London. The changes which have been made here are 1 and 2, which is High Commissioner abolished and Council of Secretary abolished. Thereafter, in a very beautiful way, you have the Governor General and Viceroy, and he operates via his 3 councils: the Legislative Council, his Council of States, and his Executive Council. And there are 2-3 changes which are proposed here. I'll write them down on one slide also, don't worry. Which is that hierarchy proposed but never implemented, and 4, Executive Council has no control over the governors, which is called provincial autonomy. This is the word which you will find in the examination, provincial autonomy. Thereafter, there are two types of governors. There are two types of governors, wherein 6 provinces and 5 provinces. The 6 provinces are, and please have to remember this for the examination: Bengal, Madras, and Bombay. This is slam dunk. These are the original 3. Thereafter, the next 3 are Bihar, United Provinces, and Assam. So, in a way, everything in and around Bengal only. And the other 5, why give only 6? Because these are very big, very, very big provinces. Very big provinces. On the other hand, Punjab, Northwestern Frontier Province, Sindh, and you have Orissa and Central Provinces. These 5 are basically what are called unicameral. But these 3 are the 3 new provinces created. What is the difference between the 6 and 5? These 6 are bicameral and these 5 are unicameral. And therefore, the structure looks like this here. Governor has 3 bodies under him. The 3 bodies are Legislative Assembly, Legislative Council, Executive Council. And here the structure is quite straightforward, which is governor and his. You have Legislative Council, not council, Legislative Assembly and Executive Council. Now, does it look perfect? On one slide itself, you can see how you have to remember the provincial names. Yes, never before this, but here you have to remember. Now you understand the complex structure which the Government of India actually creates, wherein there are multiple changes which will happen at all levels, and very simply you have to remember this: hierarchy abolished at provincial level. Now, if all of this is clear, I would like to add other sections, but can I now presume that none of you have a problem vis-a-vis? You want to add Burma point, I'll add the Burma point. Burma removed. Because then I want to move and consolidate this area and then we can move on. High Commissioner abolished. Basically, that office was not needed. They just abolished it. That's the end of it. Do Indians? No. The Executive Council of the Governors are still very, very exclusive. Is there nepotism? Yes, sure. Why not? Can I now add the other points? Yes, great. So I see why Burma removed? Because they knew that India was going to get independence soon. Why give Myanmar to India? That is again British sadistic politics. Why was there a need for Government of India Act? Because 1919 was exploited by the Swarajist no changes quite a lot. And more than that, they have to do a drama that see, the more councils they add, the more Indian representation can be there. So how do you increase that? More the bodies, the more Indians can be represented. That is their concept of representation for Indians in that regard. So we started with this structure, that how there is a context which is basically the Government of India Act 1935. Thereafter, we refreshed our memory from 1919. And once we understood the 19 and 19 Act, how 8 were already there by 1934 and the basic structure, We first saw the changes which came at the London level, which is High Commissioner's Office gone, not needed as it is. Thereafter, 15 members are removed, some advisors are added, and thereafter hierarchy is proposed but not applied. Then hierarchy is abolished at the provincial level, was not working as it is. Then the basic changes is going to be 3 new provinces will be added in the form of Orissa, Sindh and Northwestern Frontier Province. And out of the 11 which were there now, 8 were already there, 3 were added new, 6 will become bicameral and 5 will not be bicameral but unicameral. And therefore the Indian landscape looks like this, whereas Burma, Myanmar is removed, and the old states, what is common to Bombay, Madras, Bengal, Assam, UP, Bihar, UP and Bihar is that they are very big, very big, what we call as population wise very big provinces. Therefore, there was a need to expand representation. That is why they made them bicameral. Northwestern Frontier Province would be modern day in that sense, what we call as Afghanistan, Pakistan area. Thereafter, just to consolidate everything together, these are the 8 changes which happened in structural concept. There are further 6 more changes which I need to explain to you, but everybody is comfortable with these 8. Nobody has any issue. Everybody has to say yes right now. Then we move forward, because there are multiple changes which were added more to this council itself. Diarchy is the concept of, now don't ask me, I presume that you know diarchy, but still I'm telling you, diarchy is the concept where the governor of the provinces used to have reserved and transfer subjects, in which certain subjects were only legislated by the executive council and governor, which were called reserved, and transferred one which were done with the governor and the legislative council. Please don't go backwards as we are moving forwards. Don't do that. So very simply, the division of power which we saw in 1919 is still there, wherein you have the union list and you have the, or what we call as the imperial list, and the concept of provincial list. Now, if you are comfortable, I'll add that there is a new concept which is going to be introduced, and that new concept is 8 points are totally clear in your mind. You all have agreed to that. Now, the 9th is related to what you asked me, is that for the first time, the concurrent list is going to be created. A new legislative list is added, and that is called the concurrent list. So you are asking me this question, and this was the point I was going to make generally. So concurrent list is added. Thereafter, you have the concept of the federal court is created. Federal court, what is the need? Because there is provincial autonomy, now there's a court which deals with the disputes between the imperial level and provinces This is the exclusive jurisdiction of which court in India today? Yeah, very good. Perfect. This is basically the precursor for the Supreme Court. Today, any federal dispute is adjudicated by the Supreme Court. So the federal court here should be seen as the Supreme Court, because now federal disputes can be actually sorted between the province, imperial province, and that is going to go to this court. This is going to be later renamed as Supreme Court. You already have a Supreme Court which is for criminal justice, but this power will be added in what we call as the, yes, we already have a Supreme Court, sure, but that only had that only had criminal jurisdiction. Because now there's a federal structure which has come through, the very simple point is that the Supreme Court which you see in Delhi, that was actually called the Federal Court. And thereafter, the Federal Court and the Supreme Court were merged together in independent India to create the Supreme Court as we call it today. Because this still remains the exclusive jurisdiction of the Supreme Court in that regard. But you don't try to bring in modern, what we call post-independence. Just keep, I'm trying to give you a basic understanding wherein federal court acts like the Supreme Court in modern day India. Make sense? I'm just trying to give you a basic analogy so that you can understand it. I'm not trying to say that it is the precursor, this, that. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to explain it to you through something which you already understand. Very good. Thereafter, it will give separate electorates. And now this is the audacity and the, you can call it the way the British wanted to always divide India. They gave separate electorates to women, labor, and depressed classes. Now, this is something which goes against what already MacDonald had already done, which is to amend the concept. But depressed classes are still given separate electorates. But Dr. Ambedkar is going to reject it. They will never use this for themselves. But depressed classes are still given the concept of separate electorates. But the last thing which I need to explain to you, is the concept of All India Federation, introduced, or we can say proposed, but never implemented. Now, can I discuss with you the concept of All India Federation? Again, never implemented, never created, but was proposed. Everybody is comfortable with the first 11 points. Yes? I'm asking you multiple times because this is a fundamental act which you need to understand. This federal court is created in Delhi. Okay, perfect. Now, what do you mean by All India Federation? What do you mean by All India Federation? See, what was proposed, this is proposed, never applied. And I'll tell you why it was never applied. The simple point is, they argued that India should be a one second. India will use 2D only, that will make more sense. India should be a federation. India should be a federation. This is All India Federation, in which the Governor General and Viceroy, he controls 3 areas together. Or 3 parts of British India together. All India Federation, which was going to be called the British India Federation, was going to have the 11 provinces which are already there. So let's add them. You have Northwestern Frontier Province, Punjab, Sindh, Bombay, Madras. You have Central Province, Orissa, UP, Bihar, Bengal, and Assam. These are nothing but the provinces which are already there. You have Northwestern Frontier Province, Sindh. You would have the Punjab sector, Bombay, Madras. Thereafter, Central Province, United Provinces, Bihar, Bengal, not Bengal, this is Orissa. Thereafter, Bengal and Assam. This would be the first component. Does the British directly control these 11 provinces together. They directly control it? Very good. Yes, they do. They directly control it. That is the point of British India, right? That in this structure, the viceroy is controlling the governors because he's part of the structure. So the British, this area is controlled by British governors. So in a way, this is directly controlled area. This is directly controlled area. Then there were also small pockets. There were small pockets in India, very small pockets. For example, somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here. And these basic pockets are nothing but what are called, these are called Chief Commissioner's area. These are called Chief Commissioner's area. This is a precursor of basically UTs. If you know the concept of union territories, this is the concept of UT, where they are too small to be created a province and they are not going to be given to any other place. They are also directly controlled. These are directly controlled by Viceroy via Chief Commissioner. Now, the Chief Commissioner, therefore, in modern India would be equivalent to whom? Would be equivalent to whom? The Chief Commissioner. Come on, tell me. Very good. Lieutenant Governor. Great. Perfect. Polity, great. So, not Governor, Lieutenant Governor. Governor is for a state, not for a UT. So, therefore, the Chief Commissioner area and the provinces, therefore, become the two components of the empire which are directly controlled. Now I'm going to very simply mark them yellow to indicate that they are directly controlled. That they are directly controlled. Now this means that they are directly controlled, but till this point the British already control this area. So why do they need to create an All India Federation? They need to create an All India Federation because now they are going to add something which was not always under the British direct control, which are called the princely states. Very simply, the addition of the princely states is something which led to non-implementation of this provision itself. These are nothing but princely states. And the basic point is princely states are indirectly controlled. And by Friday, I will explain to you the concept of paramountcy. And I'll tell you that they basically have internal freedom, but externally they are just accepting the authority of the Queen. So therefore, the most important feature about this All India Federation was that now the British are becoming more and more cognizant of the fact that princely states should also be controlled. And basically this blue area, which is indirectly controlled, was added to the federation. Province is like a state. Princely states are not technically part of the government of India. Understand, the British government of India has only direct control over the yellow areas. The blue areas are only namesake part of British India. In a way, that is why you would have seen when I made this map, did I add the princely states? No, because the Government of India Act 1935 does not technically apply to the princely states. Rather, it is the provinces which are directly controlled by the center, and the princely states remain in a way semi-independent. So why was that this whole concept was never implemented? The problem was that as soon as the Government of India said that an all India federation which should be created, which would include the provinces, chief commissioners area and princely states, the princely states started to say, why are you adding us to the Government of India, or why are you adding us to basically the concept of the federation? So this was never implemented because it was adding an semi-autonomous area which is called princely states. You already know the princely states. You have Jammu and Kashmir, you have Hyderabad, you have Travancore, you have Bhopal, you have the Rajputana sector, you have Sikkim. These are princely states. Chief commissioners areas are separate because they're too small to have a governor. So the viceroy directly controls them. So are you now able to imagine? Federation means when different political units come together. Federalism, federation. So federation means different political units come under one structure itself. So are you getting the concept of federation or all India federation proposed? See, you will never have to explain it to the examiner. I am doing it via these maps because, or these what are called mind maps, because they help you in visualization. You will just write in the examination, all India federation proposed and never implemented. That much capability you now have, yes or no? Yes? Okay. If there is still two houses, provinces, how can they see? Lakshmi, you are confusing. Hierarchy was abolished at the provincial level. Okay. Very good. Now, the last point, then I go into the PPT and consolidate, is something which we all love. RBI or Federal Bank was proposed and established under this act. This is the 13th point. So I'm again consolidating everything, doing it through this. Then I'll go to the slide and then I want to consolidate all of constitutional history today. High Commissioner abolished, Council of Secretaries abolished, hierarchy proposed at center, never implemented. Center, the Executive Council loses its control over governors, provincial autonomy. 3 new provinces added, Burma removed, and the concept of hierarchy is abolished at the provincial level. And bicameralism is introduced in 6 places, and unicameralism, which was already there, is there in 5 places. So are we clear with regards to these first 8 points? I'm again repeating everything and I'm again doing this because this is very critical to your preparation. Okay. Now, next, legislative, the new list is added, concurrent list. Federal court is created for adjudicating federal disputes. The separate electorates concept is extended to women, labor and depressed classes. RBI is going to be proposed and established under this act, and the All India Federation is proposed but never created, under which already 2 directly controlled areas, Chief Commissioner's area plus the provinces, were going to now be administered with the princely states. These 3 together would be constituting British India. Never introduced properly, never implemented. Therefore, these 2 areas the British already controlled. It was a way of adding the princely states to their control, which the princely states did not allow for. So the simple point is the concept of all India Federation never came through because the princely states did not want to be under the control of Viceroy and Governor General. They rather wanted to be under the control of Secretary of State or straight away the Prime Minister. That is the basic point. Are we clear? Can I go to the PPT? They will never see, the chief commissioner areas cannot be merged. That way, why don't you merge all UTs with the states? Because they are critically important, but they're too small to be made into states. So that is the basic point of a UT. If you understand the concept of UT, you will understand the concept of chief commissioners area. Don't have to learn the names of chief commissioners. That much time nobody has. We are not that free. Can I now do it through the PPT? And can I give you the summary of all what we call as constitutional history. Yes, perfect. Okay. So what are the provisions of the Government of India Act 1935? This is what we are discussing right now. This is what is important for our preparation generally. Right. Okay. One second. Yes. The Government of India Act 1935 had chapters and parts the way we have our own constitution. We have 11 parts and 10 schedules at this point of time. 2000 debates were there, and one of the longest piece of legislations which came through. What are the provisions? Autonomy to provinces, provincial autonomy, end of hierarchy in the provinces, but introduction at central level, never implemented. Residual powers to the viceroy, still. Abolition of India Council of the Secretary of State, therefore the concept of his 15 members gone. All India Federation should be formed, but never implemented. This was never implemented. And this was also never implemented. The second part, which is the concept of central. Thereafter, federation never came into being. It increased the franchise from 7 million to 35 million in India. 3.5 crore people could now vote. Federal Bank RBI will be established. Federal Court will be established by 1937. It will settle disputes between the center and the province. Thereafter, further, Burma is separated from India. Orissa was separated from Bihar with Cuttack as capital. Sindh was separated from Bombay with Karachi as capital. Total number of provinces become 11, out of which Northwestern Frontier Province, which was already there existing as Central Chief Commissioner area, is given as a status of full-fledged province, and two new already we see, Orissa and Sindh. Now thereafter, bicameralism at the central level was already there, and threefold division of power is going to come: federal, provincial, and concurrent list. This is a new addition. There will be a new authority which is called the Federal Railway Authority will be created. It is going to now take care of the railways which is there generally. 7 members directly reporting to the Governor General. British stakehold will be protected in that regard. Further, the basic criticism of this act was that it was still communal in nature. It had not given everybody voting rights. Still, only 14% of the Indian population could vote. Too much power to the governors of the provinces now. All India Federation never implemented. Nehru said that it was a machine with very, very strong brakes but no engine. Jinnah, as it is, would not like it because it was giving center too much power. And the concept of constituent assembly, so that the British INC could write it, was now becoming more and more ardent. Now, very simply, can I consolidate all of this, which is all constitutional history, into one slide, if we are all clear about everything? Yes, no, Sindh and Northwestern Frontier Province is called Afghanistan, parts of Afghanistan. Technically, Pakistan is created by taking certain areas out of Bombay Presidency, Sindh, and Northwestern Frontier Province. We'll talk about that. Don't worry about that. Now, I'm now going to consolidate everything which we've done. Constitutional history is going to end today. And thereafter, I want to go into the politics of what we have to do. So, I'm going to now propose a basic timeline, and we are going to revise everything as we go on. Now, in this, obviously, I'm not going to write all the provisions. I'm going to write the major provisions in that regard. And 1935 Act, I'm not going to write the provisions, can't come in the slide. But you understand the provisions, we've already done it. So, our story started, and this is going to be the feature when I'll complete Modern India, I'll give you a master timeline for Modern India also. So, you have 1773, 1784, 1793, 1813, 1833, 1853, 1860, not 61, 1858, 1861, 1892, 1909, 1919, 1935. This is the basic timeline you have to remember. This is all of constitutional history as we know it. 1935. Now, 1773 is called Regulating Act. If you remember the code, you would remember what? 733 GGB plus 4 LCSC, right? So this was 73 Governor General of Bengal plus 4 members, legislative centralization, and Supreme Court created. Yes. Thereafter, you have the Pitt's India Act. Pitt's India Act. This is the most important because Pitt's India Act. This is the most important because it introduces Board of Control, Court of Director, Cash on Delivery, and BOC, and it is going to become GGB plus 3. A member is reduced. Yes, GGB plus 3, BOC, COD. Thereafter, 1793, there is not major changes which happen, but for us the most important change is going to be first these are all charter acts. These all are charter acts. What is the most important provision of 1793? Come on, tell me. Charter acts. 1793, 5 lakh pounds. Remember, 5 lakh pounds to be sent. Yes, very good. So 5 lakh pounds to be sent to Parliament. I don't want to add more points. This is the most important point because they want to take money out of the East India Company. Royal approval is also needed. Very good for appointment. What I'm more interested about is 13, 33, 53. So you have 13, India monopoly gone. 33, China monopoly gone. Along with that, 1 second, I'll just add these dividers so that it makes more sense. Yes. So 1813, you have missionaries which can operate in India. Missionaries can operate. Education grant of 1 lakh rupees. Thereafter, 1833, Governor General of India. The Bengal title is removed, and thereafter all power gets centralized into the Governor of India, and more than that, provinces can only propose laws, not pass it. 1853, open competition and executive council and legislative council concept. Thereafter, now comes the main area out of which questions quite a lot are asked. This is very, very easy. East India Company control lost and crown rule. The concept is going to be Governor General and Viceroy plus Secretary of State plus 15 members. Then the 1861 is known for 3 very standard things. You have what is called the portfolio system, and 1861 known for what? Portfolio system introduced. Further, come on. No, you, Anjali, 1833 only China monopoly is lost. Don't. Very good. Legislative decentralization started. Very good. Perfect. Remember everything. Great. And 3 Indian members into Legislative Council. Perfect. Now comes 92. 92 known for what? (1892). Very good. Indirect elections. Great. Already remember without even one revision. Indirect election concept. Very good. Thereafter, Morlemento. Separate electorates. Montague Clemforth. Diarchy. And separate electorates to Muslims. Very good. Perfect. Thereafter, diarchy, and we have already discussed provincial autonomy, completion of process of legislative decentralization. You have, yes, here you have bicameralism. Very good. That is that. See, here I presume that you are going to add. It was about revising the first. See, now last thing I'm going to do here is that this period is till this point is the period of legislative centralization, and here on out, from this point forward, it is the period of legislative decentralization. Done, everybody. So see, 35, 19, 1909, you remember there are multiple provisions. We'll add it, etc. I am writing. You can add it as per your wish. But now, can I say that you understand constitutional history perfectly? Yes. Because here, this point forward, there will be no discussion related to constitutional history now. Because this was the last thing I needed to do. Close to 1.5 hours I have put in. I could have done it within 1 hour, but I put in this effort to make sure that we consolidate everything here. And hereafter, it's only politics, politics, and politics. Yes, what type of questions can come? Any type of questions. You can be asked questions related to statement based. You can be asked chronological order. But remember, basic provisions you have to remember. I'll show you the questions on Thursday or Friday. There are a question which came with regards to the basic standard question. You saw that Montague Clemforth reform, they asked what is it related to also. So that type of questions also come in that sense. Now, the fact based is what? There are provisions. They'll ask you the provisions. So this topic intersects with your polity also. So that question could be equally polity and it could be equally in that regard. Mains questions, again, the mains question will be about more about in the sense that how legislative centralization is happening. How is legislative decentralization happening? Why is the concept of provincial autonomy important? What is the need for diarchy? That is the concept which comes in mains. But mains, there has not been any direct question on give us a short note on nothing like that. Nothing like that. Can we take a break? And when we come back, we can start with the discussion on the elections which are going to happen in 1936 based on the Government of India Act 1935. Yes, I can now presume everything is perfect and this topic is etched into your mind in the way it should be there. Yes, I want to, if you've never said yes, you say yes at this point of time, because this topic we will not revisit now. Done. Perfect. So what is the time? It is what? We presume it is 7:30. See, if it's heavy or not, that is a separate issue altogether. It is quite a lot. Obviously, it's a lot, but what I'm covering is both political, polity, and history together. So that way it becomes heavy. That is the only thing which is there. So we presume that it is 7:30. We come back at 7:40. Once we come back at 7:40, now we will move towards independence. First important thing, how Muslim League is going to perform really badly. And thereafter, we will go into discussion on Subhash Chandra Bose and Gandhi. Again, a very important discussion, should take an hour with regards to that. Right? Clear, everyone? Come on. Okay. So we come back at 7:40. Welcome back. I'm audible, I'm visible. Yes. No issues. Perfecto. Great. So now we go back to where we actually have to understand the concept of politics, and we need now move towards our independence again. So Government of India Act 1935 is done, constitutional history is done. Now there's a concept of the Constituent Assembly which was formally announced by C. Rajagopalachari on 15th November 1939, which was based on adult franchise and was accepted in August offer, which is where we are going towards. But this idea was first proposed by no one else but N.M. Roy, and it became an official demand by 1935. Simple point of the matter is, why am I telling this? Because now the Government of India Act 1935 has been introduced, and under the provisions of the Government of India Act 1935, there was going to be an election in 1936. Now, please pay attention. I'm now going to start to build up towards the Haripuri and Tripuri session. I'm traversing between 1935 to 37. Now, the Government of India is now going to hold elections under the new provisions of the Government of India Act 1935. And the year of 1936 was quite important because in 1936, a proper election was going to take place, in the sense that it was based on close to 3.5 crore people, but still 14% of the Indian population, but still a very big franchise that ways. And therefore, there were two major parties which we need to keep an attention or an eye on: the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League. So the INC and the Muslim League are considered two very important parties in this basic landscape of different parties which were there. And 1936, there were a lot of things which were introduced also. For example, the Indian National Congress is going to have what is called a manifesto, that we are going to fight this election on the following features. And ironically, the first thing was, we reject the Government of India Act 1935. They're fighting the election on the Government of India Act 1935. But the first, like you have the concept of manifestos. Here's a manifesto which says total rejection of the 1935 Act, release of all political prisoners, the disabilities on gender and caste will be removed, radical transformation of agrarian system, substantial reduction of rent and revenue, scaling down rural debt, and right to trade union and strikes. Tell me one thing: does the Congress, even when it comes to power as in legislative councils, have the control over these things? Declaration, manifesto, same thing, doesn't really matter. No. But politics is politics, wherein they are making big claims that we will do this, we will do that, we will do this, we will do that. That is standard thing which does not this transcends the colonial to post-colonial. Now, why is this election so important? Before I go into the nitty-gritty, 1936 election is seen as an eye-opener for the Muslim League. See, when this election is going to happen, nobody ever doubted that the INC was going to do well. The INC was able to manage close to 719 to 16 seats out of an 1100 council. In at least 8 of the provinces, they were able to make governments also. A very beautiful performance. INC had shown that it really did represent the people of India, and its basic performance was great. Perfect. So the elections will happen in 36, 37, and 11 provinces it will happen. INC will be able to manage 716 seats out of the 1161 which it will contest, and it will emerge in 8 of these provinces, except for in Bengal, Punjab and Sindh. It will emerge as a major power, as a majority power. However, though it got a majority in all provinces, when it came to Bengal, Assam, Punjab, Sindh, Northwestern Frontier Province, it did not manage good seats when it came to the Central Legislative Assembly. So whilst in the Provincial Legislative Assembly they did well, they emerged only as the largest party in Bengal, Assam and Northwestern Frontier Province when it came to the Central Legislative. This is Provincial Legislative Assembly. This is Central Legislative Assembly. Legislative Assembly. So the point was that when it came to provinces, everything was perfect and the Congress performed very, very well. Gandhi did not fight from any seat and did not even attend any of the meetings, because Gandhi said that I'm too above all of this. I will not do politics. I will not do politics. Now, INC's performance is given. It's given. It's like, you know that the INC was going to do well. I hope you understand this point, that INC was always going to do well. That is not the problem. I hope this point is clear to you, because there should be no doubt that the Indian National Congress with Gandhi, Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, towering members, Patel, you have Rajendra Prasad, JB Kriplani. It's like a star-studded performance itself. But why is 36 important? Is because if you look at Central Legislative Assembly, means at the center. Pintu, don't do this. I've discussed constitutional history for now close to 1.5 hours, and you're asking me the difference between Legislative Assembly and Council. So Legislative Assembly would be at the provincial level, Council, Imperial Legislative Council is going to be at the imperial level. So INC, perfect, no issues. But the Muslim League used to claim quite a lot of things. So since 1906 till 1936, for 30 years, if somebody asks Jinnah, what does the Muslim League represent? It represents the Muslims of India. We are the representatives, sole representatives of the Muslims in India. We are the best. We are the only one. I am the sole representative. Now 1936 election happens. And by this point of time, communalism is rising. The communistic tide is also becoming more and more what we call as a little bit more aggressive. Remember that when I say communalism basically means when there is antagonism between two communities. Could be any community, that doesn't matter. Communalism generally is a generic term. But in Indian context, communalism has a very specific context or specific definition. Communalism in Indian context always refers to the engineered hatred and conflict between Hindus and Muslims. And the word here is the most important, is engineered, because all of this antagonism was created by the British. Their divide and rule politics since the partition of Bengal was to make sure that hatred is created between Hindus and Muslims, because if Hindus and Muslims came together, colonial rule would have ended 10 to 15 years before. But they divided us so that our interests were separate. Now, by 1930s, communalism was going into that phase that riots used to also happen, in that sense that engineered riots, people were creating conflict. Viceroy used to say that somehow go and do something so that riots start. It was about undercutting the INC. And we already saw that when Gandhi went to the roundtable conferences, minorities issues, the British could see that their solution for the INC was minorities. That if we have to delay independence, if we have to delay transfer of power, make the minorities issue the main issue. So that is how they undercut Gandhi. That is how they undercut the INC. And this election was seen as a litmus test, as a test of how communism actually did. And this Muslim League saying, we represent the Muslims, we represent the Muslims, this was the test. And ironically, when 1936 elections will be fought, Muslim League will perform exceptionally bad. In the sense, in all these separate electorate seats, it will manage 3% of vote share. Will not emerge as single largest party anywhere. 3% amongst Muslims, not even the Indians. Not all India. No. Amongst Muslims, 3%. Rather, it was a person called Fazlul Haq, who you had what is called the Krishak Praja Party in Bengal, and Khizr Hayat Khan in Unionist Party in Northwestern Frontier Province, who had more votes. 3% vote share. 3. And this is the party which since the last 30 years said, we represent Muslims, we represent Muslims. You have an issue, you come to us. And this is their representation, 3%. And the ironical part is that this 3% is now going to be a wake-up call for Jinnah. And in a way, in this election, the Congress is going to lose a plot, and that will make sure that the partition is going to become inevitable. See, the performance of the Muslim League was exceptionally bad. In the sense, it captured 2 out of the 84 seats reserved in Punjab, 3 out of the 33 in Sindh. They will fail to win even 1 seat in where Pakistan is today, which is Northwestern Frontier Province. More than that, they will not be able to come or form as government anywhere. League will be second ranked everywhere. More than that, this main thing why this election is considered important, because in UP, in United Provinces, Congress needed certain amount of seats to technically make the government. So Congress needed to go into what is called coalition in a way. And the League had the requisite number of seats which the Congress needed. So when it came to United Provinces, now Jinnah went to the Congress and said, see, bhaiya na, let's make a government together. You Congress and I Muslim League, let's make a government, coalition government together. And they're like brothers. We've always been brothers. See, Khilafat movement, non-cooperation, we're always brothers. We have something old. रिश्ता है अपना. We have something old, कुछ पुराना है. So why not make the government in United Provinces? Now here 2 things could have happened. The Congress could have accommodated Jinnah and a coalition government would have formed. But here the Congress arrogance came through, wherein Congress said, you are the same person who said, I represent Muslims. What happened? You wanted to destroy, you were saying too much. London mein to you were saying a lot of things. You were saying a lot of things. You were Muslim minority, this, that. Now what happened? So the Congress denies a coalition with the Muslim League in United Provinces in 1936. But in a way, if you look back to it, the Congress lost the plot. The Congress actually lost the plot. The Muslim League, as of right now, was a very small minority in the political landscape of India. And the Congress could have easily just appropriated the Muslim League and make sure that the British had no one to actually use against the INC. But here that INC arrogance comes through, that it tried to show Jinnah his place. And why this election is considered important? Because now Jinnah comes to a major conclusion. Are you able to understand why am I saying that why is this election so important? Because Jinnah has now seen something, and more than that, Congress has shown an arrogance. I'm now slowly but surely building up to the partition also, in the sense that Jinnah now realizes a very, very dangerous thing. Jinnah comes to the conclusion that, now listen to this line. This is Jinnah's conclusion. Jinnah's conclusion is that Muslims in India or Muslims in undivided India would never have full representation and power. However, if you look at that line, the problem is not that they will have power or not. The point is, it is not Muslims, but Muslim League. Understand this. Muslims are represented by their Fazlul Haq and Khizayat Khan. But he comes to a conclusion that the only way I get power, and he's a power hungry man, the only way I get power is an divided India rather than an undivided India. Please understand this point. The conclusion which he comes to is that he would argue that Muslims would never get power in India. But the argument is not Muslims. It's actually Muslim League. Please note this point, because now this will go and set into Jinnah's basic mindset and his heart, that somehow I need to do certain type of politics so that I can make sure that my interest is protected. The people of India, the interest of Muslims is protected, but the interest of Muslim League is not protected. And by not performing well under separate electorates means that it is actually quite bad. Because when only Muslims are voting for Muslims, the Muslims were not ready to vote for Muslim League only, which is quite telling in that sense. And why am I saying this election is important? Because here Congress lost the plot. Congress became arrogant. The Congress could have easily appropriated the Muslim League agenda, and thereafter Muslim League got further what we call as weak. And just to give you what is going to happen in the future, what is going to happen in the future is that in 1939, when the Second World War will start, Linlithgow, who is now the Viceroy, will say that please, every political party should cooperate with the British because the war is on, and they create what is called the War Cabinet. They create what is called the War Cabinet, but the INC will say that we will not join War Cabinet because the concept that you are protecting democracy and you're not giving us democracy makes no sense. But guess who joined that War Cabinet? Guess who joined that War Cabinet with Linlithgow? The Muslim League. And now the romance between Jinnah and Linlithgow is going to begin, wherein when the election happens in 1936, the vote share was 3%. But when the election will happen in 1946, same Muslim League will have 86.6% vote share. This is because of the romance between Jinnah and Linlithgow. Very simply, the concept of the second wife, that somehow Jinnah became or Muslim League became the second wife of Linlithgow. They used to say, oh, we both hate Congress. Yes, we both hate Congress. I say, you also don't like Nehru. I also don't like Nehru. We both hate Gandhi. Yes, let's bond over it. Very simply, it's not that Jinnah was in a position of understanding. It was rather Linlithgow. Linlithgow is going to realize in 1939 that Muslim League can be created as an obstacle to Indian independence. So he will actually 86.6% within Muslims itself. He will actually very directly through state power promote the Muslim League and make Jinnah too important. What I'm trying to argue here is very simple, is that from zero to hero, 1936, Jinnah had no power, Muslim League had no power. I told you this, you would have realized. Till today's class, I have not mentioned the Muslim League too much since the time I discussed the concept of formation of Muslim League. I have not even mentioned them because they are non-mentionable. Because they have no power, they will argue a lot of things, but they have no power. And that is testimony to the fact that they were useless in 1936. But what is more dangerous is the fact that by 1946, because of the British, it became inevitable, it became a given that the British will partition India because Linlithgow created the Muslim League. Linlithgow created Jinnah's power. Remember this point, because people tend to think that the Muslims of India supported Jinnah. No, they didn't. Jinnah was given power from the hands of the INC and given to them via the British action. So understand this, that the partition of India was not inevitable or a given in 1936. But within 10 years, because of Linlithgow's politics, it became inevitable. What will happen in Wavell Conference, you will see, will make sure that basically the partition was going to happen irrespective of anything. So this discussion is about creating a certain consciousness and an understanding in your mind, wherein I'm trying to show you the real picture and the real, or if you want to call the auqat of Jinnah at this point of time. It is given and it is a major mistake and it is considered a mistake, the INC did a mistake here. The INC became too arrogant and they could have actually undercut the INC, the Muslim League at this point of time. But power is something which gives you this arrogance, and therefore it is power politics which led to the partition of India. Is this clear? And I'll show it to you when I will discuss cabinet mission with you. Jinnah actually did not know where he wanted Pakistan also. That is the ironical part. When the cabinet mission will ask Jinnah, you have been saying Pakistan, Pakistan. Where is Pakistan? So he gave such a map that cabinet mission rejected Pakistan plan only. I'll discuss that with you tomorrow. So remember this point that Jinnah had no idea what he was doing. Somehow he got what he wanted because the British wanted to give what he wanted, not because the people of India or the people of British India wanted it. Please understand this point because I'm trying to remove the Britishness from you. The Britishers has taught us that Hindus and Muslims can't live together. That is not given. That is not true. And that thing needs to come out of you because you're the future of India. If this is clear, then I would like to go into Subhash Chandra Bose and Gandhi, the concept of Haripuri and Tripuri session. Right? Okay, perfect. Great. So, as I said, Congress did very, very well. In Premier means technically CM. In most of the major provinces, everywhere there was a Congress supported what we call as CM. In Madras, you have Rajaji. In central provinces, you have Dr. Khare. In Bihar, you have S.N. Sinha. You have Odisha, H.K. Mehtab. G.B. Pant is going to become the premier CM of United Provinces. B.G. Kher is going to become in Bombay Presidency. Assam supported Bordoli government is going to be there in Assam. Northwestern Central, you have Dr. Khan Sahib. Thereafter in Bengal, Fazlul Haq invited Congress, but Congress refused. So Fazlul Haq made the basic government with the Muslim League. Punjab, the Congress had no role. And in Sindh, again, Congress supported Ghulam Hussain Hadiullah. So CM, Chief Minister. Premier is the word which is used. Think of it like the Chief Minister concept itself. You don't have to learn. Do not learn. Do not learn. This is not to learn. This is just to show you the power. Now, as I said, see, after the election, Jinnah offered to form coalition with the Congress. League insisted that the Congress should not nominate any Muslims to the ministries, claimed to have the exclusive representation of Indian Muslims. This is where League was always drunk with power. That is the biggest problem. That even when you're making coalition government, you should be a little bit, you have to understand what is your position. They're saying that don't nominate anybody, we will nominate. We claim to be exclusive. 1936, you have 3% of the vote share. Then how are you technically representing Indian Muslims in that regard? So the Congress and League rift is going to become very, very big, wherein in UP, INC rejected the proposal because the League was supporting the landlords. The Congress wanted to abolish landlordism. As it is, there is already ego issues. Some scholars argue that the rejection convinced. Now, please understand this line. They convinced the League that if India remained united, Muslims would find it difficult to gain political power because they will remain a minority. But in this line, what is the problematic word? What is the problematic word? The realization of the Muslim League. What is that problematic word? Yes, very good. It is not Muslims, but it is actually Muslim League. Muslims would always get political power. It was the problem of Muslim League that the Muslim League would never get any power in a united India. In a united India. This is a very important point. You should note and understand that this consciousness, this point is very, very important in the larger context of our modern Indian history story. Thereafter, 28 months of rule is going to be there. I will tell you why 28 months. For 2.5 years, they will rule. Something is going to happen in 1940. And the Congress ministries did do a lot. Again, do not learn. They again did a lot in the provinces to remove a little bit of colonialism, in the sense emergency laws were repealed, illegal bans were removed, confiscated arms were restored, the press was given back their rights, the CID powers were curbed, revolutionaries were released. In that regard, a lot was done. That is true, that was done. This is the golden period in that regard. Gandhi had already said to the Congress that show to the people what it means to be under the Congress. So don't use the police and the army. However, three instances, the Congress also misused its power as premiers in Madras government twice, where a socialist will be technically arrested by the government. Thereafter, again, a socialist will be arrested by the government and given 6 month sentence. And in Bombay, the Home Minister K.M. Munshi will use the CID against the left and the communist. And I'm going to now talk about this communists and socialism very soon. So basic point is, don't have to learn these details. Now I have to discuss with you Gandhi and Bose. Are we ready for this? Everything is making sense. Yes? Can we discuss Gandhi and Bose? Because then I have to introduce to you 2-3 concepts. It should take us close to an hour or something, or 45 minutes to cover this section. And the last thing we will do is, till Ramgarh session, we will discuss, once the Second World War starts, what is the nationalistic response. Most probably August offer tomorrow. Okay. Now please pay attention. Fazlul Haq is not Muslim League. His party is called Krishak Praja Party, KPP. Okay. Now first I need to explain to you what is this concept of, for example, socialist and capitalist and this and that. CM means chief minister. CM, premier was the word which was used for them. Okay. Now there's something called capitalism or a capitalist state. The system in which we live today, now please pay attention, something totally new to you. The system in which we live today is called capitalism. Now, the capitalistic state or a capitalistic economy has certain features. For example, they are mostly industrialist oriented, wherein factory owners are given privileges. Further, you have inequality, workers' exploitation, and more than that, the biggest problem, the concentration of wealth in few hands. So very simply, a capitalistic state does not work for the worker, for the people. It works for the big industrialists. So it is basically the Ambanis and the Adanis who really matter, and not the people. So it is inequality, and more than that, worker exploitation, and 90% of the wealth is concentrated in 2% of the population. This is what is called capitalism. Now, capitalism is inherently exploitative, and it creates inequality. You can see around yourself, this is the world of haves and have-nots. Does everybody in India have exactly the same wealth? Does everybody have exactly the same wealth? No, they don't have the same wealth. We have poverty, we have inequality. Some people will kill each other for 10 rupees, and there are some people who don't know how to spend their money. So there are people who will find ways to spend their money, and there are people who will kill each other for 10 rupees, for 100 rupees. There are people who go hungry, and there are people who will not eat what they have. So very simply, India, the whole world today, is a whole example of what is called capitalistic exploitation and inequality. Now, if you remember, I told you that there was a revolution which started in 1917 based on Marx's idea. We will discuss Marxism when we'll discuss world history when I'll be discussing world history with you. Marx argued that a capitalistic state will always lead to a class struggle between workers and industrialists, and that in turn will lead to what is called a socialistic state, or what we call as socialism or socialistic state. When the workers of the world will unite there will be a revolution, the proletariat revolution, and that is going to lead to the socialistic state or socialism. And remember, socialism is the first stage to the ultimate goal of a socialist, which is communism. Communism or communist state is one wherein there is no class, there is no caste, there is no state, there's nothing. It's a classless, casteless society, which is a utopia, never exists, never have existed. Understand one thing, China can call itself a communist party, it is not. Russia can call it nothing. There's no country in this world which is communist. There's no country in this world which is totally socialist. There's no country like that. We will discuss that when we'll discuss world history with. The simple point of the matter is there is a new orientation which rises in 1917, and 1917 onwards there's a new type of state which is actually envisaged, which is we need to create a new type of government. Now, what does a socialistic state can exist, but a communist state can never exist. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that is that we are socialists. The government of India wants you to be a socialist, and we have our DPSPs 49. We have 39 B and C, which basically represents this concept of socialism. So we are socialists. Remember this. And it is good to be a socialist. It's not good to be a communist, because then you're trying to destroy the state. So socialism is good. That's not a problem, because what socialism actually embodies is, for example, PSUs, public sector undertaking, wherein government controlled factories. So you have this in India, the BEL, BHEL, ONGC, SAIL. We have PSUs today. Further, the socialistic state works for the welfare of the workers. It works for the removal of inequality, and it tries to redistribute the wealth to everyone. So very simply, a socialist wants equality. Now, are you able to see the difference between these two? Because then I have to create a certain concept in front of you. Are you able to see the difference between a capitalist and a socialist state? Yes, you can. Very good. Now, an Indian in 1930 who calls himself a socialist has the following understanding. I'm saying an Indian who calls himself a socialist has the following understanding. Can I write the basic things here? What would a socialist in 1930 think like? Yes. So for him, socialism would technically mean removal of the British via any means possible. But they don't stop at the British, because they say social change is important. Zamindars, moneylenders, and princes all should be abolished and removed. And for him, it is about independence from exploitation. And if needed, violence is justified as means of change, because revolution needs violence. So when I say that Subhash Chandra Bose is a socialist, now I hope you will be able to understand what I mean by that. That Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose are called Congress left or socialistic leaders, because for them it is not just the removal of the British, it's about redistribution of wealth, equality and independence from exploitation. So when I say this word socialist, now do you understand what it means? Yes or no? Because then I start to develop the concept of Gandhi and Bose. Why is there contradiction between the two? Everybody has to say yes. I will tell you what is the difference between Gandhi and Bose and Nehru. All three we will do, three spectrums. But do you understand what I'm telling you as of right now? Very good. Okay. Now, see, 1938 and 39, there are two sessions which will happen. One is called the Haripura session and the other one is called the Tripuri session. And it will end with Subhash Chandra Bose leaving the INC and forming his own party, which is called the Forward Bloc, But I have to tell you what is the ideological difference. You will not find it in a book. You will not find it in any of the study material. You have to pay attention to what I'm saying. This is purely theoretical discussion and an academic discussion in that regard. So, why is that Gandhi and Bose are not compatible with each other, and where does Nehru fit in therefore? So, therefore, we need to see what is the major ideological difference between Gandhi and Bose. We've already seen the difference between Gandhi and Dr. Ambedkar. Now we need to see the concept of difference of what we call as Bose and Gandhi. Now, we already understand when I say capitalist and when I say socialist. An Indian socialist believes that removal of British is important, violence is justifiable, social change is important. Zamindars and these exploitative classes have to go, and independence is not for just independence from British, but independence from exploitation. Now I've repeated it again. Now please understand, where do these three people fit in, the three most towering leaders at that point of time. You have Gandhi and you have Bose, representing two opposite ends of the spectrum. Now please pay attention to what I'm going to say. This is the main important slide. Now, what is Gandhian ideology? See, why am I discussing this with you? Because in 1930, we have two types of leaders. We have two types of leaders in the INC itself. We are called what are called Gandhian leaders, and you have what are called socialist leaders. As of 1930, there are two types of ideologies which are developing there. Gandhian leaders, for example, C. Rajagopalachari. You have Patabi Reet Sitaramaiah. Thereafter, you have Vallabhbhai Patel, Vittalbhai Patel. And socialist leaders would be, for example, Subhash Chandra Bose. You would have Jawaharlal Nehru, N.M. Roy. These are people who are extremely socialistic in their understanding. So, simply, why we be having this discussion? Because you need to understand the fundamental contradiction within the INC. Because these two sessions show a certain type of turbulence within the INC itself. So, what does Gandhi represent? Yes, that is why I'm saying socialism of 1930s is today it's a totally different connotation. Today I am not discussing with you. Now, Gandhi believes in the following: uncompromising on the issue of violence. For him, non-violence is fundamental. Thereafter, one thing which Gandhi had and was technically a problem in Gandhi was that he did not want social change or social revolution. Means that Gandhi only wanted transfer of power. He believed that if we are going to make the national movement about social change, the national movement will get derailed. And we will start to therefore fight amongst ourselves only. So he said first political change and then social change. First political change, then social change, not the other way around. Not the other way around, which is we destroy the Indian society as we go for political change. He has his own idea, which makes sense also. Understand this, that I'm not saying it is Gandhi versus Bose. I'm saying Gandhi and Bose, because they both want the same thing, which is Indian independence, but their means are different. They're part of the same coin, but two different sides to it. So he does not want social change, he only wants independence. Third is that Gandhi, very simply, and that is one of the biggest points, that when it comes to supporting the British or Hitler in the Second World War, he will always support the British, because the British ironically represent democracy. And this is where Gandhi will now start to become problematic, because Gandhi will always choose the lesser evil. According to him, Hitler was the larger problem. Gandhi hated fascism. Gandhi hated the dictators. He believed that if it came to choosing between British and Hitler, it was choosing between poison and a gun. I would rather drink the poison. And this is very good, Chaitanya. That way, his London days coming back. That inherent conservatism of Gandhi and belief has not gone till now. So for him, anything and everything, he just the point that Hitler I will never choose. Hitler I will never choose. So his concept is no social revolution, uncompromising on violence, and therefore I will not support Hitler beat anything. On the other side of the spectrum, we have Subhash Chandra Bose. Very interesting. He says that we have to change our orientation. He says social change is necessary for complete independence. True independence only if equality can prevail. Only if equality can prevail. Now, you've asked me this question, Priyanka, who is right? And the answer to that question is both. Please don't go into this type of modern politics. Versus is not the concept here. Both are correct in their place. Both make sense. Never embody this. Then see, Bose never hated Gandhi. Gandhi never hated Bose. Bose never disrespected Gandhi also. You will see, he never disrespected Gandhi. So even when he was in the INA, he always said that Gandhi is the father of the nation. Only when Gandhi will say, then the INA will come to India. So don't ever ask me this question, or never ask this question, who is right. All of them are correct. In that sense that Gandhi, Bose, Nehru, all of them knew their historical position and their historical place. It is not like today that you have to support somebody to hate somebody. No, it's not hate politics. Please understand this. They know their position. They know their people. They know why they are there and what they want. Okay. Now, the major difference comes here. Bose argues that let us use the Second World War as a moment of weakness and get independence. Any means necessary. And therefore, very important, we should take help from anyone who wants to help us get independence. And the most important concept, violence needed is justified. Now, are you able to see how Gandhi and Bose are on opposite spectrums? One an idealist, the other one a more pragmatic personality. Gandhi said that I will not touch the British when they are fighting when they're fighting Hitler. I will not weaken the British when they are fighting Hitler, because if Hitler prevails, everything is lost. On the other hand, see, Hitler was a major problematic aspect. Fascism is bad, but nothing like Churchill is good. Churchill is equally bad. But the point is, Gandhi has this inherent belief that the British will give us independence one day. We don't have to weaken the British resolve to stop Hitler and Mussolini. On the other hand, Bose says, let us use the Second World War when the British are at the weakest to get independence. And if violence is needed, we'll use it. And basic point is, we have to take help from anybody who wants to give it. So are we able to now understand the two opposite spectrums on which Bose and Gandhi are operating? Come on, tell me. Is this making sense to you? Yes, it is. What is fascism? I will, Lakshmi, tell you when I'll do world history, because that is a 3-hour discussion itself, which you don't have to fall into right now. Simple point of the matter is, Hitler is a bad dictator, is a bad person. Simple point of the matter is, Gandhi and Bose are on two basic spectrums. Both want independence for India, but both are the different means. Gandhi wants it on non-violence. Gandhi will not go for social change. Gandhi only wants political independence, and he will support the British when it comes to supporting the British vis-a-vis Hitler. Bose says, I will go to Hitler, and he did that. I will take help from Hitler. I will take help from anybody who's ready to give us that help. I will argue that we should use the Second World War as a form of weakness, and let us use it to get independence. And for me, social change is the way only we go forward. True independence is only when there is equality. So he is a socialist. Gandhi is a conservative in that regard. Are we clear? Are we clear? Okay. Now, why is that? Therefore, though a socialist, why did Gandhi support Nehru over Bose? And herein comes Nehru in between these two, because Nehru is basically in between these two when it comes to ideology. And I'm writing it in this sense because I want to represent them on three different spectrums. Nehru is the one which basically is going to become central, because Bose will leave Congress and Gandhi will become too conservative. So why is that Nehru, a centralist in that sense, is acceptable to Gandhi? See, Nehru says social change is necessary, but through democratic means. Means that he will not go for a revolution. This is actually called, when I will teach you socialism, it's called Fabian socialism, which is democracy, slow change through democracy. Second, we can support the British in the Second World War only if they give us concessions, not unconditional support like Gandhi. And the simple point of the matter is, Nehru was ready for both violence and non-violence. So are you now able to understand why would Nehru be supported by Gandhi more than Bose, and how he is becoming that leader who can actually steer the Congress in the right direction? Bose will have a conflict with Gandhi. He will leave by 1939. And now Gandhi was becoming, no, Gandhi and Nehru are not on the same path. Gandhi says everything is perfect, unconditional support. If the British say that we need to go in the left direction, we will go into, no. Nehru said that we will support the British, sure. But you give us something. That is why the August offer, that is why the Cripps mission, that is why the cabinet mission. Understand this. In a way, Gandhi and Bose, if you mix them together, you get Nehru. Social change is important. Social change is not important. Social change is important, but democratic means. Violence is not needed. Non-violence is needed. Both are important. But most important, let us use the British. Let us not use the British. He says, we will help the British only if they give us concessions. His basic understanding was, we can't help the British protect democracy when democracy is denied to India itself. So he is technically a diplomat. He is in between that. So now in the examination, I want to close this topic now and move to the conflict itself. Now in the examination, if they ask you, discuss the ideological differences between Gandhi and Bose, Gandhi and Nehru, Nehru and Bose, any combination, are you in a position to write that now? Yes or no? Yes? Because you will not find this in books. This is literally 12 years of my experience. I'm telling you that how to basically manage this area in the right way. Because a lot will start to write left, right, center. These words should be avoided. These words should be avoided. This is the most diplomatic way of not disrespecting any of these leaders and also respecting their paths. Please understand this. You and me are not in a position, and please remember that this is called hindsight 2020, that it is very easy to say today in 2023, Gandhi should have done that, Nehru should have done that, Bose should have done that. Very easy. Because we are sitting in the comfort of our houses knowing that my fundamental right is protected by the Supreme Court. They are doing what they think is right for the nation. But remember one thing, none of them hated none. Because that is something which is being created so as to create camps. No. Never did Bose say that Gandhi was useless. Never did Gandhi say that Bose was useless. Or they never publicly ever did anything. They will have their politics. You will see. Patabi Sitaramaya will be created. Gandhi will still be accommodated. Bose will be the larger man here. You will see. Actually, Bose will show a lot of respect to Gandhi. So please understand this point very, very clearly. You and me have no right and have no standing to even judge any of these three. So who is right and wrong? We are in no position to do that. Because if we can do only 0.001% of what they did for this nation, we will be equally great to them. So remember this point, that stop judging. This WhatsApp university based judging, stop doing that. No one is bad, no one is right, no one is wrong. Everyone is needed for the Indian independence. As much as Gandhi is needed, as much as Bose is needed, as much as Nehru is needed. Please understand this point. Because we have a very major tendency nowadays to have certain type of literature. And it's not just literature. There will be teachers, there will be people on YouTube who will be saying this is right, this is wrong, he was right, he was wrong. No. UPSC aspirants sit on the fence. Sit on the fence, and they will never ever judge people who gave us independence. So if he was right and wrong, let it be right and wrong in your understanding. Did Gandhi do this? Did Gandhi do that? It at this point of time, Gandhi seems to be the most conservative here. But he was also needed. Bose was also needed. Nehru was also needed. Clear? Is this point clear? Simple point is, Gandhi knew that if it became about social revolution, the British would derail everything. Bose knew that Gandhi's approach was too conservative. Nehru also at one point of time actually stayed away from Gandhi, in the sense that Gandhi was becoming too unconditional. Gandhi or Nehru's concept of violence and non-violence was that if Chauri Chaura had happened and Nehru was the leader, then Nehru would not have stopped non-cooperation movement. But if there can be a non-violence based means, it is okay. You also know that if violence is going to be done at India level, what the British are going to do. So can we actually say that violence is the only means possible to get independence? Or it is the best way to get it also? No, because we know that the British will retaliate with Jallianwala Baghs in every province itself. So please, this is I'm emphasizing on this point because somehow students become emotional in the examination. Well, all that emotion comes out in the examination and they start to write. You are saying Gandhi was wrong what he did. Imagine what you're doing in the examination. Even if you go to the interview, control your urge. For that 20 minutes, control your urge. After that, whoever you want to support. I'm no one to judge you on that. As much as I'm no one to judge any of these three, I'm not judging anybody. It is never the task of the historian to judge anybody. It is the task to tell the story. My job is to tell. I'm a storyteller. I'm telling you a story. Your job is to understand that perspective. If it makes sense, okay. If we cannot agree, we agree to disagree. Can I go to now Haripuri and Tripuri session? Very important discussion, important for your basic understanding, right? Okay, perfect. Now, how did this conflict actually manifest itself? How did this conflict actually manifest itself? Now, I'm going to discuss with you certain thing. It will take me 30-35 minutes to discuss it. And then I'm going to go into the PPT. Now, there are two things which I can do. I can take the story from 0 to 100 and then go to the PPT. Or I can go to 0 to 50, then look at the PPT and then go to again the second part of the story and then the PPT. What do you want? Do you want me to tell you the whole story till Ramgarh session? Or you want me to stop in between and read the PPT? No, you want the whole story, which is 100%, and then we will look at the PPT. But then if you will say, sir, you are going fast or you are reading the PPT, I will only do that only. Because I've already told you the story. I've already told you the story. What we did yesterday, right? You're getting my point. That is the way we did it yesterday, which is I told you the whole story and then we did it. Okay. So there's a consensus that we should do the whole story and then we will go into the PPT as a form of revision. Perfect. Now, by 1938, the arrogance of the INC was now permeating its politics also. What do I mean by that? That basically by 1937, the problem is that Congress has become a little bit indisciplined. People's what we call as membership was forced. They have power at this point of time. So they like it also. And Gandhi said that the INC was becoming a little bit indisciplined. Power corrupts, and there was a little bit of corruption which was coming through. Now, by 1937, one thing was also clear of how Hitler was acting generally, that a war was going to come for sure. And Subhash Chandra Bose and Nehru could understand it, because what he was doing in Austria, what he's going to do in Czechoslovakia, Hitler's actions were indicating towards a war, impending war for sure. So by 1938, everybody was clear that a war is coming, and the INC had become a little bit indisciplined by this point of time. So what happens is that in 1938, the session, the Congress session, is going to happen at a place called, and please look at the spelling here, it's called the Haripura session. Haripura session. One is called the Haripura and the other one is called the Tripuri. Tripuri. Please, I'm showing you the slide so as to show you the spelling. One is called the Haripura session and the Haripura session. Now, in the Haripura session, Subhash Chandra Bose stands as the president, and his power at this point of time was that he was unanimously elected by everybody. Everybody supposes Subhash Chandra Bose, and Subhash Chandra Bose now in his resolution or in his speech says three very important things. First, he says that the time was right to go for an all India level movement. He predicted that there was a war coming and we should use it to get independence. What is his basic ideology? But more than that, Bose showed a certain sense of radicalism in the sense that he said that the Congress has the potentiality to change India. It has the potentiality to change the society. And Gandhi, while sitting and looking towards Bose, saw something which he did not like, which is that Bose turned out to be too radical for Gandhi, wherein he's talking about social change, he's talking about Congress as a means of social change, he's talking about using the British during the war itself, he's also talking about a national movement. But Gandhi was very clear that the INC was too indisciplined at this point of time. And more than that, there was no need for a movement at this point of time. He said that the people are not ready, neither the INC is ready, neither the people are ready. So at the Haripura session, Gandhi could see something which he did not like. But the conflict did not brew up there, but it brewed up in the next session. So when in 1939, the session happened just before the launching of the starting of the Second World War. Second World War will start on 2nd September 1939. This is just on the eve of the Second World War. And in the 1939 session, which is happening in Tripuri session, what happens is that Subhash Chandra Bose again stands up for the president. But this time, Gandhi did not want Subhash Chandra Bose to be the president. Rather, he wanted a person called Patabhi Sitaramaya as the president. So Subhash Chandra Bose will now fight the president's position against Gandhi's candidate, which is Patabhi Sitaramaya. And Patabhi Sitaramaya will lose to Subhash Chandra Bose any day, because Subhash Chandra Bose had the support of the Congress Socialists. He was much, much, much more popular than Patabhi Sitaramaya. Now, whilst congratulating Subhash Chandra Bose, now Gandhi will say something. He will say that whilst I congratulate Subhash Chandra Bose to become the president of the INC, now he says a very, very, very dangerous line. He says, Patabhi's defeat is my defeat. So now Gandhi has taken it to heart, dil pe le liya, that how can my candidate lose to Subhash Chandra Bose? So very simply, Subhash Chandra Bose could see that ego hurt, kuch bhi hurt karna, but Jaykant Shikre ka ego nahi hurt karna. So here, what has happened is Gandhi's ego is hurt. That very simply, he said, Patabhi's defeat is my defeat. Now, Gandhi could have obviously not stood himself, so he supported a candidate, a Gandhian leader. Now, Bose could see this tension. Bose is again elected as the president. He was not well So he did not become very active in that session. But again, in that resolution, he will say that an impending crisis and a war is coming. Let us use that war and launch a national movement. The Congress is ready. Everybody is ready. But Gandhi again did not say that he was ready to launch a movement. But Subhash Chandra Bose actually said a very, who is Pattabhi Sitaramaiya? He's a Gandhian leader. Now, a dangerous concept was that Subhash Chandra Bose now questioned the CWC. To the CWC, the Congress Working Committee, Subhash Chandra Bose said that this Congress Working Committee is too liberal, too weak, and they listen to the government very quickly. Basically, Subhash Chandra Bose is saying that the CWC listens to are acting like loyalists. And at this point of time, CWC or the Congress Working Committee has, for example, people like Vallabhbhai Patel, Rajendra Prasad, and Vittalbhai Patel, Pattabhi Sitaramaiya, GB Pant, these very big leaders, he is accusing them that they are acting like loyalists. And now the CWC will lose their mind. They will say, how can the president question the same CWC which has led to his election? And he is saying that we are loyalists. Now the tussle begins. Wherein Gandhi now could see that Bose is becoming too pushy and radical. The president's position was mostly a symbolic one, but he's now pushing the agenda. And Bose could see that the CWC is becoming more and more uncomfortable. Now, the major standoff is going to be that CWC will say, okay, if you don't believe in us, then we dissolve the CWC. You choose the CWC. We resign. So the CWC got resolved in the Tripuri session itself. And now before resigning, they said, we would want that the CWC should be created with the consent and wishes of Gandhi. Subhash Chandra Bose says, okay, if that is the case, then let Gandhi choose the new CWC. But Gandhi says, in a very tacit way, that I don't want to push my CWC on Bose. So now there's a deadlock. Bose won't make it because he knows that Gandhi will get offended. Gandhi will not make it because Bose will get offended, or Gandhi said, I will not make it because you are the president. Now the tussle became so much that the CWC had got resolved. It was not getting constituted. So Bose will see no option. He will try to approach Gandhi multiple times, but Gandhi was not ready to listen, and Bose will resign from the position of president, and therefore he will basically in a way bow down to Gandhi. Now Gandhi was very clear, I don't want to launch a movement, I don't want to launch the movement. Bose was still the president of the Bengal Committee of the Congress. Without the permission of the CWC, without the permission of Gandhi, he will very simply launch a small movement in Bengal. And as soon as the CWC is going to get to know about what Subhash Chandra Bose did, he will be removed as the Bengal president also. And more than that, he will be debarred from holding any position in the INC for 3 years. So in a way, Gandhian leaders prevailed and Tripuri session became the battleground, in the sense that in 1938, the Haripuri session, Bose creates a certain type of wave and energy which Gandhi does not like. Haripuri session, the Tripuri session, things go as per plan, but Pattabhi's defeat is considered as Gandhi's defeat. CWC is dissolved. Thereafter, Gandhi would not constitute it. Subhash Chandra Bose did not want to, and therefore, because they did not want to show that they were fighting publicly, Subhash Chandra Bose resigns. But once he resigns, he launches a movement against the wishes of Gandhi and the CWC. He's expelled in that sense. And thereafter, as it is, Subhash Chandra Bose will leave the INC and form a new body which is called the Forward Bloc. And thereafter, Subhash Chandra Bose's orientation will change. He will believe that the INC is not needed. And then the story I will pick up tomorrow when I'll talk about the INA. The INA, which is after the whole ordeal by 1940-41, he will be out of India. He'll be now going to Russia, then to Japan, then to Germany. We will discuss that separately. So this is basically what is called Gandhi versus Bose, wherein, or Gandhi and Bose, or Gandhi and Bose tensions, represented in two sessions, Haripura and Tripuri. No question has come from this area. As it is, they can't ask it. But I hope you get the point, how these two actually are pushing each other in a certain sense. Bose had he was much more humble to give up to Gandhi, and he understood that as it is Congress, he would never get the representation or the power he ever wanted. Is this clear, everyone? Come on. Bose, Gandhi, clear? Because then I'll go into the second part of the story and we'll read it out of the PPT thereafter. Okay. Now, yes, in a way, Gandhi was passive aggressive. That is the way. It's a passive aggressive move. That's totally passive aggressive. Everybody is following. There's no issue. Forward block, forward block. Everything is written in the PPT. Don't worry. Now the Second World War starts. And Bose has left the fold of the Congress. Now Gandhi at this point of time, in a way, had lost his mind. His concept was, let us unconditionally support the British in their war. We will not go for any movement. We will not go for anything. But Nehru was not convinced. And it is here that Nehru will actually emerge as a major leader who could fill the gap which Bose had left. So what happens is that in 1939, as soon as the war starts, now Viceroy Lithgow is going to establish what is called the War Cabinet. Now in the War Cabinet, we will do Second World War, First World War, all these wars in world history. Don't worry about that, Deepanshu. That whole story, French Revolution, American Revolution, Russian Revolution, First World War, Second World War, interwar period, I will do that with you. Don't worry. 10 classes for that also, separate. Just for right now, trust me that there's a war which is called Second World War. You can do that much, right? Okay. So, very simply, the War Cabinet is created by 1939. And now Lithgow is going to invite the INC that why don't you join us? We need your support. India's support is extremely important to fight Hitler. If we don't get your support, we will not be able to fight. Though technically not true, but that was the basic argument. Now, the Prime Minister of Britain at this point of time is a bastard called Churchill. Churchill is mostly considered across the world as a hero, but in Indian history, he is one of the worst and does not deserve any of our respect in that regard. So Churchill, in that regard, said to basically, second Hitler in that sense. Stalin, Churchill, and Hitler all in the same sense. Simple point is, Churchill said to Lithgow that you need to do a drama to bring the Indians into the fold. Gandhi said, let's join the War Cabinet. Nehru said, we can't let that happen until and unless the British tells us what is their goal now. Nehru said a very important line. Nehru said, what do you represent? Hitler represents dictatorship. You represent democracy. Then give us democracy. You can't be a hypocrite, right? You can't fight a war saying that we are the protectors of democracy and you are at the same point of time beating Indians. So you are acting like Hitler in India and you are trying to say that we protect you from Hitler. So INC straightforward will say that we will join the War Cabinet if you tell us what are your war aims. Meaning, Nehru said, give us concessions. If you tell us what is your war aim, we will join. If not, we will not join. So what happens is, Lithgow was too arrogant. He said, no, I have no plans to give you any concessions. and here the INC will not join the war cabinet. But Jinnah will, and Jinnah will then start his romance with Lithgow, which is going to pay dividend 6 or 7 years later in 1946. But there's still a lot of churn within the Congress, what to do. And what happens is that there is a special session at Wardha. At Wardha, basically, war cabinet is nothing but a cabinet created in which Viceroy plus all the Indian political parties. But ironically, this part never did the INC join it only. But everyone else who did was helped by the Viceroy. Now, there's a special meeting of the CWC at Wardha. This is called the Wardha resolution or the Wardha session of the CWC. It's not an INC session, it's the Wardha session. Again, people say to Gandhi, start a national movement, start something. Gandhi says, CWC means Congress Working Committee. Gandhi says, no, people are not ready. I am not ready. Let us support the British unconditionally. Now Nehru says that we are saying for you to launch a movement. We are not asking you, should we support or not? So at Wardha, there is a lot of churn which is happening, wherein what should be the response? This is called the what should be the nationalistic response to the Second World War. And at Wardha, 3 things are decided. First thing decided is India cannot help the British whilst democracy is denied to her. That we can't be supporting the British whilst they fight for democracy when democracy is denied to India. And here Nehru was quite smart that way. Second, he said, let the government, let the Viceroy spell out what are they going to give us after the war. After the war, what you are going to give us, tell us. And our resolve is we only want complete independence. Don't give us this lollipop of dominion. We want complete independence. But right now, tell us what is your resolve. You tell us what you are going to give us after the war and what are you going to give us right now. So 3 things are very straightforward said at the Wardha CWC meeting. And you can see now Gandhi is going a little bit back in the picture and Nehru and Bose are coming forward, because Gandhi at this point of time was not ready to do anything. He was like, unconditionally support the British, unconditionally support the British, because Hitler is bad. Nehru said, I can't do that. I will not unconditionally support the British. I have to get something out of this. Now what is going to happen is, what about Jinnah? Jinnah doesn't care. His thing was, I want to become something. He was an unemployed person. He wanted something. However he gets, he doesn't care. Think of Jinnah like that. He just wants power. That's it. So he's a power hungry man. And I will tell that lust for power, he had lost his mind. You will see that. Because the major moment in which we get to know what Jinnah was actually doing is when cabinet mission said, okay, we give you Pakistan. Now tell us, where is Pakistan? He could not write anything only. I'll show you the map which he created. 9 Pakistans he created. So I'll tell you that. Don't worry. Now, Wardha resolution says that now we need to, in a way, send to the British a certain type of message that we are not supporting them. And that will also send a certain message to the world. And that is where they decide that the Congress ministries, I showed you 28 months of rule. The Congress ministries, the Congress part, the bodies, these political parties or the governments which had been formed at the provincial level, now it will be decided at the Wardha session that Congress ministries should resign, that we will stop support with the British. And at the Ramgarh session, that is the session, at the Ramgarh session 1940, at the Ramgarh session of the INC, the 3 things which I told you are ratified. Wardha is a CWC session, which is the Congress Working Committee's only meeting. Ramgarh session is the INC meeting properly. So the INC will meet at Ramgarh and they will ratify three very basic things. We will only support the British when they give us something. Complete independence is what we want. And the Congress ministries should resign. And the basic response of the British at this point of time was negative. Lithgow wanted to do nothing because 1939, the war had just started. Within 1 year, something major is going to happen, which is going to be called the August offer, which I most probably am going to do tomorrow with you. But this is the major story. If it makes sense, I'll add the details to it. 38, Haripuri; 39, Tripuri; thereafter Wardha; then Ramgarh session 1940. Simple point of the matter is Gandhi and Bose tensions, Bose leaves. Now what to do with the war? Wardha session. Wardha, they decide three things. Ramgarh ratifies it. Ramgarh session is the INC session which ratifies. Understand this. There's a smaller meeting which happens at Wardha, bigger meeting which happens at Ramgarh. Is this, and Bose was still attending all these meetings. What is the difference between CWC and INC? What is the difference between, I'll give you a simple example. What is the difference between BJP, not BJP, let's not take BJP. What is the difference between, for example, Parliament and Cabinet? Same time. Getting my point? The Parliament, the bigger body is the INC. The decision-making body is the CWC. Now makes it make sense. CWC is Congress Working Committee. It is the main. It is still today still exists. Are we clear with the basic idea? 50, 60, 70%. Let me read it out to you and I'll not go very fast. You just absorb it and then I'll give you a summary in the end. But before I do that, we started with Government of India Act 1935. We discussed the elections and now we've discussed Gandhi and Bose and we've discussed the concept of Wardha and basically Ramgarh. What we call as more or less is clear. Yes? Wardha is 39, 40 it is written, Ramgarh session 40. Right? Come on. Is this making sense? Okay, great. Okay, now let's read this story out. Now, in the aftermath of the civil disobedience movement, now please just enjoy. Listen to me. This is what is the way in which the books write it. So now you are just going to fill in the gaps where you have gaps. In the aftermath of the civil disobedience movement, there was some disarray within the Congress. In Gandhi's perception, rising corruption and indiscipline was there. He was also unhappy with the rivalries and squabbles which were happening in the Congress. Bogus membership, unethical means employing to getting more and more people into committees. Congress was now acting like a political party. Gandhi firmly believed that the Congress should first put its house in order before a movement could be launched in that regard. On the other hand, Subhash Chandra Bose, by this point of time, had already been the president of the Bengal Provincial Congress Committee. He was a person who technically was more close to Jawaharlal Nehru because Jawaharlal Nehru and Bose both very firmly what we call as supported the Purna Swaraj resolution. Previously also, both were not on the same side when it came to the concept of the Nehru report. So therefore, Bose did not agree with Gandhi when it came to the national movement at many different points of time in that sense. However, it is at the Haripura session where this story starts. What happens at the Haripura session is very simple. Congress meeting will happen in Haripura in Gujarat, February of 1938. Bose was unanimously elected as the president of this session. He was in firm belief that the Congress ministries were very, very revolutionary and they could change anything. Bose talked about an economic development of the country through planning and instruments such as the National Planning Committee. So he's now talking about socialistic form of control. The session adopted the Congress resolution and the resolution generally. And the basic point of the matter was that it said that the Congress was also going to support people in the princely states who were fighting for independence. But what Gandhi saw in Bose was something too radical. Therefore, at the Tripuri session, these things will change. In 1939 January, when the Tripuri session will happen, Now he will again stand up for president. But Gandhi was not happy with this candidature. Bose represented in his mind new ideas and ideologies, problems and programs, which were too progressive when it came to anti-imperialistic struggle. Sardar Patel, Rajendra Prasad, J.B. Kriplani argued that the CWC is the real power and the Congress president is just a symbolic position. So the simple point of the matter is we decide the agenda, not the president. And it's not a position of power, it's a position of symbolic control. So very simply, you can see that Bose was using this as to voice a new power and energy within the INC, and the INC is saying the president does not decide the agenda. Thereafter, the person who Gandhi favored was rather Patabi Sitaramaya. However, Bose will defeat Patabi Sitaramaya by close to 200 votes, as he got the full support of the Congress Socialist Party and the Communists. Gandhi will congratulate Bose, but he will take it on his heart that Patabi's defeat is my defeat, and now Bose versus Gandhi had come to the forefront itself. Now, when the session will happen in MP near Jabalpur in Tripuri, this is going to come in front of everyone. It was obvious that not all was well within the Congress. The Congress Working Committee was not supporting the president too much. And more than that, the election of the president, which was a constitutional thing within the INC itself, was now creating a lot of conflict. Bose's victory had polarized the ideology and the forces within the INC itself, and therefore the election of Bose was now in the context of inner crisis and internal conflict. Now, Bose will accuse the Congress Working Committee leaders that they were ready to compromise with the government on any matter. Now the leaders felt, Rajendra Prasad felt, that they could not work with a president who would publicly criticize and cast doubts on their nationalistic resolve. Bose was not well, though he will still attend the session. And in the speech, he will say in January of 1939 itself that there was a war which is going to start in Europe, and it did by September. And he favored giving the British a 6-month ultimatum. And if they don't grant us independence, we will go for a national civil disobedience movement. Now, you tell me, would Gandhi support something like this? A 6-month ultimatum, a mass civil disobedience? Obviously not. So, Bose is showing a certain type of radicalism, a certain type of ideas and energy which Gandhi does not support in that sense. So in his opinion, which Bose later wrote, the Congress was strong enough to now go for a mass struggle. He said that let us take the advantage of an international crisis to get independence. Gandhi, on the other hand, was a firm belief that this ultimatum was not the time it was not the time to give ultimatums, and the Congress was not ready for a mass struggle itself. So he was also aware of the communal discord and the class strife. So Gandhi thought that things will go out of hand very quickly. No mass movement in 1939. Now the tussle will come when it will be about constituting the new CWC. So the resolution was moved by GB Pant, reaffirming faith in Gandhian politics, and he said Bose nominate the working committee in accordance with the wishes of Gandhi. Gandhi said that he would not like to impose, now this is passive aggressive Gandhi, not try to impose a working committee on the president, and Bose was the president, so he should choose his own working committee and he should lead the Congress. Bose continued to push Gandhi that you constituted, but Gandhi was not coming on board. Bose will continue to get his confidence, but he will not. And with nothing there, Bose will refuse to nominate the working committee and he will therefore resign from the position. Basically, Bose wanted immediate struggle while Gandhi was saying that the struggle was not correct at this point of time. Therefore, Gandhi and Bose were on two different platforms. Gandhi was not willing to lead a Congress struggle based on radical lines, while Bose was not willing to compromise on his ideas. Bose saw no other option but to resign. He will resign from the position in April of 1939. This led to the election of Rajendra Prasad as the president. Internal crisis had been averted, and Bose, along with his followers, will form what is called the forward bloc. as a new party within the Congress, not outside the Congress, within the Congress. However, Bose's complete breakdown will happen when on 9th July, against the wishes of the All India Congress Committee, he will go for a mass movement, All India protest. He will be removed from the post of President of Bengal Provincial Congress and debarred from holding any position for the next 3 years. And thereafter, the Bose relationship with INC is going to more or less break. Anybody has any issues in this part of the story? I told you the whole story. I gave you the gist. Now I've read it also. Any issues in this sector? No issues? So any gap it was there, now it is totally quenched and filled. Yes, very good. Now, the second part of the story is related to Ramgarh and the concept of Varda. The tussle is because of their approach. Yes, that is because of their approach. See, Ilma, the question which has come previously, there's a question which has come, but it's a purely theoretical question. I'll show you that question. There was one question which said, discuss the ideological differences between Gandhi and Bose. So there's a question which has come, but not on the story. See, understand one thing. Asking in a mains question stories is very difficult because you can't write. Can anybody write this whole story in 250 words? Obviously not. They have to ask you issues. They can't ask you stories because stories is not what really matters, but more than that cannot be written in that regard. You're getting my point. If by this point of time we are in the close to the 20th class in that regard, I hope that you are getting the point that stories cannot be written in the examination. Stories are too long to be written. I hope you have cognizant of this in that regard, right? So can I move to the next section? Gandhi did not want to start the movement because he believed the Congress was indisciplined. People were not ready and he did not want to disturb the British in that regard. Okay. They can ask different ideologies and differences. They've already asked that question. I'll show it to you soon. Okay. Now, one important thing, the way we are going, most probably we'll have an extra class on Saturday. Remember that. Saturday, we'll have an extra class. 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I only need 1 hour though. I'll take 2.5 hours with a break in between. What we'll do is that this is 21st class. This is 20th class. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll do national movement. Friday, Saturday, and Monday, we'll do post-independence. So I'll make sure either 7 to 9 or 9 to 11. Either way, it's recorded. That's not an issue. Saturday session is going to be recorded. You can watch it anytime. Simple point is, I'll not break the flow of national movement. Rather, I will take the extra class for post-independence so that you have a proper sense. By Thursday, we'll give India independence, right? So I please be cognizant of this, that there on Saturday, if you can make it, sure. If not, there will be a small extra class. You can see the recorded version if you want to, right? I will be live. I will be live only. But if you are not able to attend it for some reason, I'll tell you tomorrow by surely. Independence has been delayed by 1 day, sure, if you want to call it that. Yes, by 1 day we have to, because of the pace. I should have reached till Cripps mission today, but you can see if I pick up the pace too much, it will stop making sense. So I'm going slow because I believe that you need to understand. I will give you the time and everything tomorrow, right? So don't worry about that. Tomorrow I'll confirm everything. You will get an email, you will get a notification. I will keep on telling you that you have a class. I will make sure that you can attend it live. If you can't, still you will have the access to it, right? So don't worry about that. But I'm just giving you a heads up because I don't want to rush. It is my prerogative. I could have done it within the same time. So I'm not trying to rush generally because I believe that this is an area which needs time. Okay. So now we are just going to do the Vardha thing and the Ramgarh and we'll end for today. So, can I do that? Yes, you are obligated to attend this extra class. Yes, if you want to call it that. Yes, sure. Why not? I order you to attend it. Sure. Okay. Now, this is all our Britishness which comes out, that we have to be told what we need to do. Okay. Though the Congress, now I'm going into the second part and we'll end the class there. Though the Congress did not like the unilateral action of the British to draw India into the war, which resulted in Indians now going to the war itself, supporting the British in that sense. Indians were deployed in the Second World War. The hostilities of the Congress to fascism, Nazism, militarism, this is Hitler and Mussolini, was much more consistent than the British. We were much more consistent towards oppression. Now, the Indians offered to support the war effort, or what we call as the war cabinet. No, Rahul, no issues like that. So you have war cabinet, Indian offer was only two things. We are only going to join the war cabinet if after the war, a constituent assembly should be convened to determine the political structure of free India. Immediately, some form of genuine responsible government should be established. Obviously, Lindrigo will reject both, and now the Congress will technically start to think how to go forward. So the simple point was, if you want Indian support, you have to very simply support these two conditions. This is going to create a churn within the Congress, and now at Wardha they are going to meet and figure out what to do. So the official Congress position was adopted at Wardha session of the Congress Working Committee, not the INC. This is the cabinet in the Senate meeting. But before that, there were multiple opinions. Now you see the opinion of Gandhi. Gandhi, who had all sympathy for the British during this war because of his dislike for Hitler's ideology, which is called fascism, he advocated unconditional support to the Allied powers. So Nehru said, this is not going to happen. Further, he made it clear that there's a distinction between democratic nations and totalitarian Hitler politics. He said that he was not willing to embarrass the British during the war. So this is his inherent conservatism coming out in that regard, that I can't disturb the British when they're fighting with Hitler. Subhash Chandra Bose, other socialists, Acharya Narendra Dev, Jai Prakash Narayan, who all were invited to this session, had different opinions, and they said they have no support to the British. They have no support to the British on sympathy. Sympathy is the last word which is going to come towards the British in that regard. Now, Nehru had to figure out something. Jawaharlal Nehru was now going to stand as the leader he was, and he will say that he was not ready to accept the opinion of Gandhi and neither of the socialists. He was clear that what he wanted was much more than what Gandhi wanted. And he was clear that I understand the difference between British and Hitler. But he believed that justice was on the side of British, France, and Poland. He also believed that Britain and France were imperialistic powers. And the war was a result of the internal contradictions between capitalism. Basically, how capitalism wanted to protect itself from socialism. That I will discuss with you when I discuss Second World War. The CWC resolution condemned fascist aggression, fascism. Fascist, when it says, it means Hitler and Mussolini. It further said three things. These are very important. India could not be party to a war being fought on the face of it for democratic freedom, while the freedom was denied to India itself. Therefore, if Britain was really fighting for freedom and democracy, it should prove by ending imperialism in the colonies and establish full democracy in India. The government should declare, and this is the most important point. The government should, yes, there will be class tomorrow, nothing changes for the weekday. The government should declare its war aim soon, and also as how the principle of democracy were to be applied in India after the war. The Congress leadership wanted to give every chance to the Viceroy and the British to get British or in what we call as Congress support. So you can see, in a way, Jawaharlal Nehru has stepped up and he's used his understanding better, and very simply, he has also gone a middle path. neither Bose, neither Gandhi, middle path. Till this point makes sense. What is the Wardha resolution? Can't be fighting for democracy while by denied democracy. Prove us that you believe in democracy. And more than that, you tell us your war aims. The main point is, what are the aims for which you are fighting the war? Okay, now, the Congress ministries, because the governmental approach was very negative, Viceroy Lithgow made a statement on October 17th that he used the Muslim League and rather the princes against the Congress by saying that the Muslim League represents the people, the princes represent the princely states, represent the people, not the Congress. So as it is, it was clear that Lithgow was never ever going to support what they wanted. So the government refused to define what were the aims for which they were fighting. He further said that maybe we will create certain bodies later. So a future arrangement to consult representatives of several communities, parties, interests could be done. And he said that at immediate level, we will create a consultative committee. We will consult you on how you need to get independence. Congress saw that it was all a drama. Simple point, drama he was doing. So therefore, now the Congress will decide to resign. Based on the CWC meeting on October 23rd, 1939 itself, once the imperialistic policy is going to be rejected, we will say we don't support it. Simple point is, we don't support the war, we don't support the viceroy. And the 28 months after 28 months of ruling the provinces, the Congress ministries will resign from the provinces, Congress ministers will resign, Congress premiers will resign. However, all of this is still happening at the CWC level. That is why there was a need for a session, which is called the Ramgarh session in 1940, early 1940. In this session, certain things which presided over by Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, he will now reiterate everything which we've already seen. He was the president, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, and you know how Azad was used quite a lot to irritate the Muslim League. Do you know how Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad was made to irritate the Muslim League? No. I'll tell you. See, anytime there was a committee when we were constituted, the Muslim League used to say, we are the sole representatives of the Muslims. So we will send our representative who is a Muslim and he represents only the Muslims in India. So the Congress, what they used to do, they used to nominate Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad. They would say, okay, if you are the sole representative of the Muslims, then how is that one of the most towering leaders of the Muslims is on our side? So Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad used to always negotiate with Jinnah. And Jinnah used to get irritated by the fact that how in public eye, he would never be able to say that we represent the Muslims only. So he played a very important role in negotiating with Jinnah quite a lot. Okay. All agreed that the battle must be waged, but disagreement over what form. The timing and form was left to Gandhi, but till now, in 1940 also, Gandhi was not ready to start a movement. He was in favor of continued cooperation with provincial level. He said that he would offer the British moral support during the war, but on non-violent basis. So you can see Gandhi is losing his utility very quickly. By 1940, he is now losing his utility because he's still somehow believing that, see, it's about between poison and a gun. He said, I will never support the gun. I will never support Hitler. I will rather drink the poison. So Gandhi's perspective is in a way problematic, but it is coming, but we cannot expect anything else from Gandhi. Gandhi is of this orientation only. Please understand this point. He is an idealist. He is going to say, no, I am going to do this only. That is the problem with Gandhi. Once he says yes, he says yes. When he says no, he's a satyagrahi. This is his passive resistance. This is my resolve and I will keep it. Can't do anything. So, see, as I said, it's not about right and wrong. Gandhi's perspective is that Indian people are not ready. And maybe he's right also. That maybe the movement which would have started in 1940 would have not taken them anywhere. Jawaharlal Nehru reiterated that complete independence was the precondition for Congress support for the British war effort. Subhash Chandra Bose wanted direct action. he still said that we should use this moment of British difficulty and get independence. That we should fight and we should actually get independence. Let's use this moment of weakness to get independence. Now, Congress finally declared that the session that the people of India would accept nothing less than complete independence. Indian freedom would not be in the form of dominion. Sovereignty must rest in the people, whether in the states or in the provinces. And with this, we finish our discussion for today. Very simply, we will tomorrow start our discussion from August offer. So please understand, what do we do tomorrow? Very significant developments. We will discuss August offer. We will discuss Gandhi's very useless attempt at a movement called individual satyagraha. Thereafter, we'll discuss Cripps mission. Then we'll go into the story of the INA trials, and the RIN mutiny. And day after tomorrow, technically tomorrow should have been our last class, but we will do day after tomorrow, Thursday. We'll discuss Wavell cabinet mission, conference cabinet mission. Thereafter, elections of 1946. Then we'll discuss interim government, and then we'll discuss independence itself. So by Thursday, we should have independence. Very simply, this is the agenda for tomorrow. Please don't miss tomorrow's class anyway, because very significant things. Quit India also tomorrow. When we discuss Cripps mission, quit India also. Quit India we will do, don't worry. Not missing quit India. Okay. Clear, everybody? Thank you. Independence on Thursday, which is what? 11th May 2023, we'll get independence. If you don't have a question, I'll see you tomorrow, same time. I hope everything is making sense. Constitutional history is done. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a very productive day. And I'll see you tomorrow, same time. And on Monday, we finish everything with post-independence. Ranjan, I'm not giving you a practice question because I have to give you the mains question only, straightforward. So just consolidate everything what you've done. Kalam and Lee. Abdul Kalam Azad never believed that Pakistan was needed. Okay. No Ambesh. We'll discuss that when we'll do first theme, which is the role of princely states in all of this. Thank you. Take care. If you don't have a doubt, you can leave the session. You can go to college. You can go wherever you want to. Would you teach yesterday, sir? Rahul, this tense is wrong. You're writing future and past tense together. Would, you are asking me future tense. Then you're asking me yesterday, which is past tense. So are you asking me, will I teach tomorrow? Yes, I will teach tomorrow. Okay. Churchill is considered, why is Churchill considered bad, sir? I don't know anything about him. Raj, I'll tell you about him tomorrow, because Churchill for the West is a hero who defeated Hitler. But for Indian independence, it denied independence at all point of times. Lithgow was supported by Churchill quite a lot. Further, Churchill hated Gandhi, and we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that tomorrow, don't worry. Prastik, just write your question again. I can't see it. Just write it again. The British anyways have control over Indian army. Then why are they asking for INC support? Because that's called public opinion. To the world, the British also has allies. To the US, it has to show that it has Indian support. Churchill was accused by the US quite a lot that you are saying you're fighting for democracy and you're then not giving Indian democracy. We'll discuss this point tomorrow. Congress ministries is nothing but they are forming government after 1936 and 1940 they will technically give up. Ritika, I have no idea about that. Rahul, you give me the questions which you asked me. I have not seen the questions. So if I missed any questions, you write it again. Yes, Prachi, true. Why was Gandhi need to say that it's my defeat? It's not about my defeat. He does not hate Bose. It's just that he does not support Bose's approach. I'll do that, Sayadri. Don't worry. Justice Party, temperamental movement, miscellaneous topics. Don't worry about that. Supporting British. Why was Gandhi not again Pulkit? Nobody's going to call him a betrayer. that is not the way people look at Gandhi. Chandita, from which source you are asking me? Technically not true. Imphal campaign, I will tell you. Okay. You want to read Bipin Chandra, enough. If you want to read Spectrum, both equally enough. Technically, after you read the PPT, you need nothing. Why did Gandhi support the British? Because he believed that the British support democracy, they represent democracy. He hated Hitler more than the British. That's the basic point. But sir, people make statements about Gandhi. It's because he's dead, you can say anything about that person. It's very easy to criticize anybody when he's not there to defend himself. So it's very easy to criticize anybody. Once, it's very easy. Let them do that. I will, Prince, give you the list of important Governor Generals, Viceroys, everything. Last class, I will get everything uploaded. Don't worry. We'll talk about Netaji's death also. Don't worry about that. Revise 3 times, more than enough, Anuj. You want to call Gandhi arrogant? That is your prerogative. Okay. Perfect. I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Take care. Bye-bye. The SME is there for the next half an hour to answer any of your questions if you still have some. See you.